Hello, good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 Television. I am Nanatufu Boateng. Welcome to the start of a new month. Today happens to be July 1, 2025, and there's a lot happening today. The president will lead the nation in prayer today. There will be it's a national day of prayer and thanksgiving. And so at the forecourt of the State House, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will be leading a national prayer, Christian prayer. And then at 12:30, the Christian prayer is happening at 8 a.m. this morning. And then at 12:30 p.m., there will be the Muslim prayers led by the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Dr. Osman Nuhu Sharubutu. Guess what's also happening today? The 15% addition to VAT for non-life insurance also kicks in today. 2.45% utility tariffs kicks in today, takes effect today, July 1. And then between 10 and 15% increase in your data volume by the telcos as directed by the Honorable Minister for Communications and Digitalization and Innovation, Samuel Nate George, also takes effect today. So today happens to be quite significant. There's a lot going on in the country, from offering prayers and thanksgiving to the imposition of a 15% tax on non-life insurance, to the imposition of a 2.45% hike in utility or electricity tariffs. And then you have your data volumes going up between 10 and 15% based on which telco you're subscribed to. But did you know that if we do not take deliberate, well-planned, targeted action, Ghana risks locking its next generation in poverty? I'll tell you why. More than 4.8 million Ghanaians, representing 30.8% of the urban population, are living in slum conditions. Think about it. More than 4.8 million Ghanaians, representing 30.8% of the urban population, are living in slum conditions. Now, these slums, and you would agree with me, these slums are characterized by inadequate health services, poor sanitation, inadequate housing, absence or lack or inadequate basic amenities. So here's the burden that this puts on the nation. You're going to have health challenges. You're going to have nutrition scare, because you're going to, in fact, there's a ripple effect. And so if we do not rise to the occasion, based on this report by no other institution than the Ghana Statistical Service, we do not rise to the occasion and begin to implement deliberate, well-planned, well-targeted actions aimed at alleviating poverty within the country, we risk locking the next generation in poverty. Shalom. Let's say thank you to all of you who have been part of us throughout the month of June as we observed the Citi Business Festival. From the first day of June to the 30th of June, we brought you on-air series and activities aimed at helping you shape, grow, nurture, and expand your business. And we want to say thank you to all of you who were part of the Citi Business Festival. Your viewership, your listenership, your contributions, absolutely amazing, and we're grateful to you. And so we want to say thank you to our sponsors, our partners, our viewers and listeners for making the Citi Business Festival 2025 a success. We had outdoor fora, we had a boot camp, we had on-air series each day, 9 a.m. on 97.3 Citi FM and 10 a.m. here on Channel 1 Television, and you were part of it. We want to say thank you to you. But in doing so, we say special thanks to Absa Bank, special thanks to MTN Business, and of course, special thanks to Zonda Tech Ghana Limited for sponsoring the Citi Business Festival 2025. You sponsored us throughout the planning and, of course, the execution of this 30-day festival. And we're eternally grateful to you, Absa Bank, MTN, and Zonda Tech. And of course, to our viewers, our listeners, and our partners, you guys are the real MVPs. We say thank you in abundance. We cannot thank you enough. All right, let's get into the newspapers this morning. Let's see what the papers are saying this morning. The Ghanaian Times is here, so I'll start off with the Ghanaian Times, and it carries that story. The story regarding the 4.8 million dwellers in slum conditions within urban spaces in the country. Ghanaian Times reports that 4.8 million urban dwellers live in slums, and this is attributed to a GSS report. That's the Ghana Statistical Service. Then when you go to the top left-hand corner of the paper, you have a picture of Dr. Cassiel Atoforsen, the finance minister, and the story says WB, that's the World Bank, approves $360 million for Ghana to restore macroeconomic stability. World Bank approves $360 million for Ghana to restore macroeconomic stability. NLA, that's the National Lottery Authority, donates 100,000 Ghana cedis to support tidal wave victims. NLA donates 100,000 Ghana cedis to support tidal wave victims. And you see a picture of the DG of the NLA with the Volta Regional Minister on there as well. Review suspension of CJ. That's the Ghana Bar Association appealing to the president. Review suspension of CJ. And it's attributed to the GBA, that's the Ghana Bar Association. And then quite a disturbing one. It says, fear grips Nkwanta South as conflict escalates. Fear grips residents of Nkwanta South as conflict escalates. I'll take you to the back page real quick. It says 350,000 households get 139.2 million cedis leap. Okay, well, 350,000 households get 139.2 million Ghana cedis leap. Now, you can do the mathematics on your own, how much each household is entitled to as part of the LEAP program. That's the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program. And then you can do your own divisions and multiplications, if you like, from there. Now, there's another one that says passengers stranded at Dambai over faulty pontoon. Passengers stranded at Dambai over faulty pontoon. And when you grab a copy of the Ghanaian Times, you get the details in there. Let's get to the Daily Guide. Front page of the Daily Guide newspaper says, police arrest Kofi Juma over 3 stolen cars, stolen in inverted commas. Granted 500,000 Ghana cedis bail. Police arrest Kofi Juma over 3 stolen cars, granted 500,000 Ghana cedis bail. Professor Ajiman Dua, or Professor Dua Ajiman, rather, let's not turn it around. Professor Dua Ajiman replies GTech. We know that the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has instituted an initiative to correct the use of academic titles, doctor, professor, you name it. And it looks like it's turned its attention to Professor Dua Ajiman. The Daily Guide this morning is reporting that Professor Dua Ajiman has replied the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTech. So grab a copy of the Daily Guide and you can get the details in there. 4 Chinese galamseyers arrested with pump-action guns. 4 Chinese galamseyers arrested with pump-action guns. Reconsider Justice Tokonu's suspension. That's the GBA, Ghana Bar Association. Yesterday they observed the Martyrs' Day, and this was the call or the appeal they made, led by the president of the GBA, Ifuagate. And that's how the Daily Guide is reporting on that activity or that story. Reconsider Justice Tokonu's suspension, attributed to the GBA. And then you have the NLA story, the donation of 100,000 Ghana cedis to tidal wave victims in the Volta region, also on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Now, the Chronicle is also here. Let's see what the Chronicle is saying this morning. NEBS University graduates new doctors with a call to serve humanity. NEBS University graduates new doctors with a call to serve humanity. Kofi Juma released from CID captivity after being accused of stealing Gehog Distillery's cars. Kofi Juma released from CID captivity after being accused of stealing Gehog Distillery's cars. Child custody case. Court grants substituted service on Baba Sam. Child custody case. Court grants substituted service on Baba Sam. And then you have World Bank grants Ghana 360 million Ghana cedis. World Bank grants Ghana 360 million Ghana cedis. Our scripture for the day is from the book of Leviticus, the chapter number 26, the verse number 14. And it says, and I read, "The Lord said, if you will not obey my commands, you will be punished." The Lord said, if you will not obey my commands, you will be punished. And that's Leviticus 26:14. May the Lord add his blessings to the reading of his word. Now, on the back page of the Chronicle, sports dominates. And you have Tottenham target £85 million rated Mohamed Kudus. I wonder what kind of move that will be and how much of an influence you have in the Tottenham squad. But should be interesting to follow up and see how it goes. Tottenham target £85 million rated Mohamed Kudus. Real Madrid, Juventus lock horns in the last 16 stage. And this is, of course, in relation to the Club World Cup that is currently ongoing. The tournament has reached its boiling point and some absolutely fantastic football is being played in the US of A. Not impossible. Mbeumo will stay at Brentford. And this is attributed to Phil Giles. Says not impossible. Mbeumo will stay at Brentford. So that's it for the Chronicle newspaper. We'll do the New Republic now. New Republic says Sakawa Kingpin bows to extradition. Dada Joe shipped out as Ghana begins seizure of assets. Sakawa Kingpin bows to extradition. Dada Joe shipped out as Ghana begins seizure of assets. Family feud escalates. US-based Ghanaian feared dead amid sibling threats over property dispute. Family feud escalates. US-based Ghanaian feared dead amid sibling threats over property dispute. Agric minister goes all out. Demand FAO, AU, EU backing for bold food revolution. Chinese cash crucial for Ghana's 24-hour dream. Chinese cash crucial for Ghana's 24-hour dream. Julius Deborah hints at economic revolution. That's the chief of staff, Julius Deborah, and he's captured here on the front page of the New Republic. National security sword hits Kofi Juma. Akufo-Addo's in-law caged over missing state assets. Well, we know that he was granted 500,000 cedis bail by the police CID yesterday. Now, I'm going to take you online real quick and bring you some stories. Seth Tekbe sat with Bernard Avila on the Point of View here on Channel 1 television last night, and a number of stories have come out of that interview, so I'll bring you a couple of them. Seth Tekbe highlights economic gains under Mahama administration. That's on channel1news.com. Seth Tekbe highlights economic gains under Mahama administration. Strong harvest easing pressure on Citi. Again, attributed to Seth Tekbe. Strong harvest easing pressure on Citi. Then you have arrest of Kofi Juma unnecessary. He should have been invited. That's one of his lawyers who spoke on the Channel 1 newsroom last night, making that observation or running that commentary that the arrest of Kofi Juma was unnecessary and that the police could have simply invited him. Gold Board approves 240 gold buying licenses after June 21 deadline. We know that the act establishing the Gold Board has fully taken effect, and so all Ghanaians who are not registered with the Ghana Gold Board are unable to trade in gold in the country. If you do so, you are committing an illegality. We've been told by the CEO, Sami Jamfi, that the president will soon inaugurate or launch a task force that will ensure full compliance with the act establishing the Ghana Gold Board. So, yeah, Gold Board approves 240 gold buying licenses after June 21 deadline. Kofi Juma legally owns 2 of alleged stolen vehicles, and that again is attributed to his lawyer. Yesterday, during that press conference by the police CID, we were told by the Director General of the CID that some 3 cars had been retrieved from Mr. Juma, but his lawyer is telling us now that 2 of those cars are legally owned by the former boss of the Gihok distilleries. We'll see how that pans out. Now, other stories also related to Kofi Juma. This one on his bail says former Gihok MD Kofi Juma granted 500,000 cedis bail. And then when you go to the OT region, tensions force closure of schools, banks and businesses in Nkwanta. This is problematic. This is troubling, and we should tackle it head on. Schools are being closed. Banks are being closed. Businesses are unable to run. Pretty shortly, it will be hospitals. Then emergency services will grind to a halt, and then we'll be looking at a national disaster on our hands. We should consider some of these disputes a national security threat and deal with them head on as they should be dealt with. Because tensions between 2 feuding factions should not grind an entire community to a halt. Businesses are not functioning. Banks have been closed. So if I need to make a transaction, an emergency, what do I do? It's serious, and we need to treat it with all the urgency it deserves. All right, from the OT region, I'll take you to the Ashanti region, where NDC youth besiege Axle Load Station over corruption claims. National security intervenes. NDC youth besiege Axle Load Station over corruption claims. National security intervenes. And this happened in the Ashanti region yesterday. Well, let's still stay in the Ashanti region, where police have arrested 9 in armed robbery crackdown. 1 suspect killed. Police arrest 9 in armed robbery crackdown. 1 suspect killed. 24-hour economy will empower private sector growth, and that's Abdul Nasser Alidu speaking there. Bagbin launches Integrity Awards, vows relentless fight against corruption. And then you have the story on the arrest of Kofi Juma. And then Laura SHS tragedy, Muntaka Jinapor to answer questions in Parliament on July 2. So, I mean, these are some stories you can find on the web portal, channel1news.com. But let me take you to citinewsroom.com. Citinewsroom.com is leading with stories from the Ghana Gold Board. And this one says, Gold Board exports top $5 billion in first quarter of 2025, beating 2024 total. Gold Board exports top $5 billion in quarter 1 of 2025, beating the entire total of 2024. Wow. That's interesting. Mahama to lead Ghana's maiden National Day of Prayer today. Mahama to lead Ghana's maiden National Day of Prayer today. Telcos begin implementation of 10 to 15% data increases. Telcos begin implementation of 10 to 15% data increases. Health Minister to address Parliament on Ghana's COVID-19 surge today. Health Minister to address Parliament on Ghana's COVID-19 surge today. 24-hour economy. Parliament to debate policy amid consideration for new authority. Parliament to debate policy amid consideration for new authority. And that's with the 24-hour economy. I understand an official launch will be done, I think, tomorrow by the president. And so we'll be on the lookout for that as well. We'll keep our eyes on it. Our cameras will be there. And we'll be sure to report and update you regarding the implementation of the NDC's flagship 24-hour economy policy. Now let's move on to some other stories that say Mahama's first 6 months show tangible progress. And this is attributed to Seth Tekpe. Like I said, he sat with Bernard Avle on the Point of View show last night here on Channel 1 TV. And he says Mahama's first 6 months show tangible progress. Again from him, Tekpe accuses NPP of draining, sinking and stabilization funds. Tekpe accuses NPP of draining, sinking and stabilization funds. $4 billion private investment targeted under 24-hour economy policy. That's Guzi Tano. He is spearheading government's policy on the 24-hour economy. And he says $4 billion private investment targeted under the 24-hour economy. Ex-Gehok boss legally owned 2 of alleged stolen vehicles. Lawyer disputes CID claim. Ex-Gehok boss legally owned 2 of alleged stolen vehicles. Lawyer disputes CID claim. Ghana Gas backs 24-hour economy with boost in industrial supply. Ghana Gas backs 24-hour economy with boost in industrial supply. Google expands Gemini AI for classrooms, but is Africa in the room? That's the question. Google expands Gemini AI for classrooms, but is Africa in the room? That's the question on citinewsroom.com. I want to bring you some business stories also from citinewsroom.com /business. Analysts urge GRA to review 3% flat tax rate for small businesses. And then you have Achi Hesse bows out as CEO of Gibbs after nearly 2 decades. Telcos begin implementation of 10 to 15% data increases. Gold Board exports top $5 billion in Q1 2025, beating 2024 total. Then you have the 24-hour economy. Parliament to debate policy amid consideration of 4 new authority. You have the $4 billion private investment targeted under 24-hour economy policy from Guzi Tano. Then you have the GSS report also on the web portal that says 1 in 3 urban Ghanaians lives in slums. 1 in 3 urban Ghanaians lives in slums. So if you take any 3 Ghanaians in the urban area, 1 of them lives in a slum. We need to be serious. Okay, so these are stories you can get online. Go to citinewsroom.com as well as channel1news.com. And you can get details of these stories and a host of others, which, of course, we're updating by the minute, by the hour. So go online, citinewsroom.com, as well as channel1news.com. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 TV. The show is interactive. We'd like to hear from you. Send us your thoughts, your comments, and, of course, your suggestions. But right here on Channel 1 TV, there's something new, something big, something informative, something very, very educative coming up. And this will be on Sundays. I'm talking about Volunteers TV show every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. Tune in and enjoy. Ways to volunteer, how to volunteer, why you should even volunteer. All these nuggets will be dropped on the show each and every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. with your host, Stephen Kweku Dako. So you'd want to tune in to Channel 1 TV every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. for that. But stay with us here on Breakfast Daily. We'll return with the news review segment after this break.
Where politics meets power, where the tough questions are asked. Welcome to Face to Face. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Umaru Sanda Amadou as he takes you face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, the Attorney General.
Yes. I think he was directed to jail us.
By who?
By the system.
Boku has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yenje, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed in
us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. If you based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Umaru Sanda Amadou airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV, where politics gets real.
The gentleman who is joining me today, I like to describe him as a true black star. He's a master sergeant of the U.S. Army, currently stationed in Korea, Mr. Samuel Amateama, Master Sergeant Samuel Amateama. Hello, let me give you the respect, soldier.
Wow, thank you, thank you. I like that.
So that's like half a tin.
No, let's add it in here some more. We're trying to make it rich because I know you're classy. You got to be rich. So based on that, we're going to add. Now I'm going to add something called the apple. Where's my apple juice? Right here.
Apple juice is here?
Why do I add the apple juice? Just to give it that apple flavor. I'm going to give you $100 bill.
Okay.
Hold on to that.
Okay.
This is going to happen. Anybody in the comments on social media, do you think it's going to be good with hair, with the blue hair or the red hair? Those who want blue hair, just type in blue in the comments. Those who want the red hair, type in red in the comments. We're going to see who the winner is, and then you're going to choose one person yourself to come for the $100 bill. So we have the oil, just in case the butter doesn't work out, we use the oil, okay?
Okay.
Is it hot now?
Yeah, it's hot.
Okay. So I'm going to put a bit of the butter in there. Oh, good.
Okay.
Perfect. Could we swivel it around a little bit, not too much? In there, and it becomes more,
it works.
Easily accessible to all. Get some jollof.
No, I trust you, and we'll use tasty. Oh my goodness! Just when I thought you weren't going to come today.
Why wouldn't you want me to come?
Because you come and eat all my food. This is one of my favorite things, and then you're coming to eat it.
What's Cooking is brought to you by Tasty Tom, Kivo Pepper, and Lele Rice. Curious about what's happening beyond your borders? Beyond Borders takes you there. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m., join Caleb Kudo as he explores the stories that shape our world, connecting you with Ghanaians in other cultures and seeing the world through their eyes.
So we've learned one thing: you leave your shoes outside. Wow.
Tuesday, I won't go to Ghana dressed in a Lacoste.
As director of operations.
From international politics to the human stories that define nations, Beyond Borders brings you a fresh perspective of Ghanaians around the world, one conversation at a time. Beyond Borders with Caleb Kuda airs Wednesdays at 7 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
Hello there. Thank you for choosing us. This is Breakfast Daily on Channel 1 Television. Time now for the news review segment, where we get to have a conversation around some of the topical issues dominating the media space. This morning, I'm joined in studio by a member of the NPP's communications team in the person of Eric Chum. Good morning.
Good morning, bro.
Good to have you. Good to have you.
Same here.
Then we have the Honourable Member of Parliament for Sisala West, the Honourable Mohammed Adams Sukbaru. Honourable, good morning.
Good morning, alright, how are you?
Like the people like you, when you come, they send in text a lot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I can't say no to that because this is my second time in Parliament, and let me say,
You must be doing something good there.
yes, I'm the second person who is able to do 2 terms. Since the creation of the constituency, the PNC candidate won twice. From 2004 to 2009. Then NDC won 2012. 2016 NPP came for the first time. And I took it from NPP in 2020 and I'm still here. So I believe, of course, from 2004 it has always been NDC presidential.
Right.
It has always been NDC.
Congratulations on that.
We are doing our best trying to make sure that the people are well represented and their issues are brought up for national attention so that duty bearers can attend to them. So we do our best.
Very well. Let's get into our business of the day. We start off with issues of alleged corruption. The former boss of Gihok Distilleries, Maxwell Kofi Juma, was picked up by national security operatives in the Ashanti region, later transferred to the Greater Accra region, the CID headquarters. We understand he's been granted 500,000 Ghana cedis bail. I'll just read a few paragraphs of a story on channel1news.com, which says former Gihok MD Kofi Juma granted 500,000 cedis bail. Maxwell Kofi Juma, the former managing director of Gihok Distilleries Limited, has been granted bail set at 500,000 Ghana cedis with 2 sureties. This follows his recent arrest over allegations involving the theft of company-owned vehicles. The bail was approved on Monday, June 30, after Mr. Juma was transferred to the Criminal Investigations Department, CID headquarters, where he was detained. The Ghana Police Service confirmed the development during a press briefing led by Deputy Commissioner of Police, DCOP Lydia Yako Donko. She explained that the arrest stemmed from a former complaint filed by Gihok Distilleries. All right, so that's the story. We know he's been granted bail, but his lawyers have been speaking to us. They have told us that he legally owns 2 of the vehicles in question. This is according to his lawyers. One of them spoke on the Channel 1 newsroom last night. And then also, they are unhappy with the arrest. They say Kofi Juma could have simply been invited. Eric.
Well, thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to be here. And this morning too, I'm here with my brother. You know, when you were giving him all the plaudits and the commendations that were coming from the viewers, you forgot to talk about his appointment. You know, all these rabble-rousers have been given appointments, and he's still here. He's a fine gentleman.
I think he deserves more.
You know, yes, of course. You know, I'm speaking for him. You know, he's my friend. He's my very good friend. You know, but I would have wished that he would have been recognized.
Very well.
I have been recognized. I appreciate it, but I have been recognized. The recognition is that the Ghanaian people have recognized my party, and if I recognize the fact that the NDC is the party that
you not make me say something for you.
I'm part of the NDC, whether appointment or no appointment.
He's actually speaking for you.
You not make me say something for you.
I know he likes me, but not in this context. My party is in power, and I have, in fact, every member of NDC is part of the appointment.
What
kind of appointment do you
have? This evening we'll meet at the base.
No, we won't meet at the base.
Right, let's deal with Kofi Juma.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not too sure if we are progressing as a democracy or not. I mean, in some of these things, whilst maybe in the interim, it sort of scores some kind of political points and it feeds into a certain populism and all of that. I don't see how it helps in the long run in terms of how we govern this country. you have an individual like Kofi Juma, who you can actually pick up a phone and call and say that appear at the nearest police station or whatever, or come to this particular security agency because a certain complaint has been made about you, and he will turn up. You know, so this whole pension, and it's almost like like it's become the MO of this current administration of sending people with guns and pickups and all sorts of things, creating a certain sense that these individuals are even going to resist arrest, you know, and I mean, they razzmatazz and they sort of whatever that comes with it. It's something that I'm extremely uncomfortable with. You know, you see, we are all one people, right? And sometimes some of these relationships, and he's my friend, he's NDC, I'm MPP. You know, it can happen that our kids go to the same school, we go to the same church, we go to the same mosque, we went to the same schools together, you know.
Like so,
yeah, exactly, like our base. You know, and if over there, we don't even discuss politics, right? And so for me, I think that we have to be very careful if we really want to heal this country. And it even dovetails into something that happened yesterday. Yesterday was Martyrs' Day, you remember, right? Yeah. And a lot of things have happened in this country where maybe some of the very young people, the Gen Zs do not even have a certain appreciation of. We've come from a very long way. And it doesn't mean that if somebody has done something that is criminal or you deem it to be necessary for that person to be investigated, or somebody has been given a public office and they're supposed to account for their stewardship. They're not supposed to do that. But there's a certain finesse that comes with it, you know, but we are behaving as if that we are in some, it's almost as if there's like some kind of a jungle and let's try and get, and for me, I think that sometimes it's a bit unnecessary. To be honest with you, I have absolutely no qualms with people being given positions of authority and being asked to account for it. But you see, it's also the inconsistency, right? And sometimes the media, you're a bit too lax when it comes to these things. Maybe when new governments come into office, maybe there's a certain perception that there's some goodwill or people want to be in their good books and all that. Because you see, you have to question the consistency. You have persons who have been taken through a judicial process, and a government comes into power, decides to go to court and even cause a null prosecutor to be instituted, so that these people, regardless of what the allegations are, would be acquitted of whatever it is. And that same administration is using the same justification to go after people who are not part of their political leanings, claiming that some corrupt actions. So in one breath, those actions by an administration that was duly, voted for, and have gone through a judicial process were persecutions. However, these ones are prosecutions. Now, when you do that, over a long term, the people lose some faith even in the political leadership that we have in this country, the political systems, that it becomes almost as if that there's an MPP, NDC way of governing this country. But we have to govern. Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is we have to govern this country in a way that is anchored in some certain values and principles, so that it is not on the whims and caprices of certain individuals, or if you are in government, yes, we want to make sure that the Constitution is followed to the letter. But if you are out of government, we will criticize. And I can take certain examples even from outside as a political party where we've done that over the period. But is that what we want to do, I mean, in 2025? You know, and so for me, yes, Kofi Juma, I don't know the details of the matter. He claims to have been in possession of these vehicles legally, and he would have his day in court and all that. And there's nothing wrong with that for any well-meaning, well-thinking Ghanaian. But a 70-something-year-old man. So you go into his house with guns, and you understand what I'm saying? Invite him. Now, because you can activate a legal process where he's invited, he doesn't turn up, you go to court to get a warrant and all of those things. So what is this about? I mean, I've never seen that before. Honestly speaking, I mean, the justification that in times past it had happened, and so we are basically continuing what at a certain point in time
events.
We actually also spoke against, right? So at what point would we actually say that, listen, all of these things are important, there's definitely a need for accountability. However, there has to be a certain sense of finesse. I mean, if you go into somebody's home and the little children there or whatever, these are things that can scar them forever. And this is an individual that is not hard to find.
Then you was picked up without footwear.
Exactly. What is the point? I mean, that's what I'm saying. That apart from there being some kind of trying to retribution or trying to exert some kind of even vendetta, to be honest with you, I don't see how, unless of course it's somebody who, one, is a flight risk, is dangerous and is known to be carrying weapons and arms and all of those things. But apart from that, all these public officials and people, and even ordinary Ghanaians should not be subjected to some of these things. Yeah, as far as that's my view on this particular matter. So, in terms of the substance of the issue, I have absolutely no information on that. But if he claims that he has legal possession of these things, it will go through a court process, and then the court will decide. But even in some of these things, I mean, that's why there's even the issue of discretion. So if you feel that the individual, some Keyhawk has made an allegation that these vehicles have been stolen, some investigations should be done. I mean, is it the case that at every point in time an investigation is done, the person has to be arrested before the investigation? I mean, it's a bit, you know what I'm saying?
The investigation can be carried out, and then when there's substantive evidence,
but you are saying that I'm arresting you before for questioning before I carry out my investigation. It's a bit, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not a security person, but it's a bit, I mean, unnecessary.
Very well. Let me hear from Honorable Sukaru on this matter. I mean, it looks like there's a trend that we can establish regarding these arrests. People must stay and account for their stewardship. But how are we going about it? Now is the turn of Maxwell Kofi Juma, former Gayhawk MD. Your thoughts?
Listening to my good friend Eric, with the issue of Kofi Juma, arrest, and many other, you know, as a country, we for some time now we said we are going to fight corruption because that has been one of the greatest enemy to the progress of this country. And so when you are fighting corruption, what do you seek to achieve? There are two things that you seek to achieve. First, one is to prevent people from, you know, taking public office into their own house, trying to use it to, you know, maximize profit for their personal gains. That is one thing. And also to ensure that there's trust and our country in terms of handling our own affairs. And so for me, I can also speak to the fact that whether or not he was first invited, but be it as it's me, when you say you want to fight corruption, I don't think that is for political gains, but some of these things, somebody sitting in the office or the current chief executive officer or the MD of Jihawk, if he sees how Kofi Juma was arrested at Kumasi and even transferred from Kumasi to CID headquarters, that alone for interrogation, that alone to me would serve as deterrent to him, so for him to sit up. You know, when persons who allegedly cause crimes, and we say
the president's caution to directors of SOEs is not a deterrent enough?
It is enough. The former president, Nana Akufo-Addo, did the same. But today, what are we seeing? He did say, you remember his first public address at the Independence Square, I mean the sworn in. You remember the statement he made that if you are coming to his government just because you want to make money, then you should be smiling at the wrong side of your mouth. But if you want to make money, you should go to the private sector. But in the end, look at what we're seeing. what he's been accused of is about some state vehicle being in his possession and some, all kinds of things. So for me, it is time for us to treat. We cannot say that an ordinary theft issue of, let's say, somebody who has stolen a goat, that one, they should go in a Rambo style to go and arrest that particular alleged suspect. And when somebody who is allegedly probably stolen an amount belonging to the state that can really actually buy millions of goats, we say that such people should be invited to come by themselves. Of course, that is the process. That is one of the means, that they could explore. But they decide to go in that way to arrest. That is what I'm saying, that in doing all of these things, that alone is part of sending a certain signal to those, even apart from the caution the president has given them, those serving in government, that if you also make a mistake and you do same, and a day for accountability comes, like today, this is how you are going to be dealt with. And that will be ringing a certain bell in their minds, that when I do something like this, if somebody can be arrested, right, and transferred from Kumasi to the CID headquarters because he's keeping state, vehicles in his possession, and he's been accused for some corrupt activities when he was in office. You should know that you, the person currently occupying same position, yours probably will be worse than that. And for me, that will help us in fighting the corruption. So I don't see it to be political vendetta. I don't see it to be like political persecution. I don't see it to be as government going after his opponent. What I would suggest and what I would want, and I believe in His Excellency the President, because he's done it before, that even if any of his appointees engage in any act that is suspected to be corruption, certainly the same way that the investigations are currently being conducted, same will be applied to an NDC appointee. He's not doing it because, those that have been arrested are NDC or they are MPP. He's doing it because they are suspect, and such people are enemies to our progress. And so for me, I think that is the right way if we want to fight corruption. If you sit and you invite them to come at their own time, to come with their lawyers, it is like we are trying to fight and dignify the act of corruption. And that is why people will have challenges when they see police going after somebody who has allegedly stolen 500 Ghana cedi from someone or 2,000 Ghana cedis. We see people being sentenced to 10 years imprisonment because the person has stolen a goat or a sheep. We've seen people being sentenced to 2 years imprisonment because the person has stolen from his employer maybe 1,000 cedis or 10,000 Ghana cedis. But we are talking about millions of cedis, which can actually construct the road from Wa to Tumu. I was just watching a video. That is my constituency. The major road that links Upper West to Upper East. I don't know if you ever use the road. You can see how bad it is. And these days, it is raining. It is very, very difficult. A road that you're supposed to use from Wa to Tumu, you're supposed to drive like an hour and 30 minutes. Because of the bad nature of the road, you're going to spend almost 3 hours on the road. And for the time in Memo, that road has never seen any improvement. It has, ever since I was born, it has always been like that. In fact, we have never seen a tar road, And if we have people who are occupying public office who are supposed to manage our resources in a manner that we can get value for money, and they are allegedly engaged in certain acts that can, affect our foreign. I think that we shouldn't handle them with any dignity.
You see, that's the challenge that creates the perception, because most of these high-profile cases, we seldom see the end of it, convictions or even some retrieval of the monies involved. But per the example you gave, the goat thief will get his 10 years in jail. And so it leaves room for the assumption that these are political persecutions.
That is what I'm saying. So that's why I think that this is the best way to go after them. If we want to dignify the act by saying that we are extending invitation to them to appear before CID or whichever state institution for investigation. I mean, it comes with a certain respect. But once you go after them this way, I tell you, other persons sitting occupying same position, they will be, if they have any intention of doing same or do something, they will be, hey, if Mr. Kofi Juma, who is over 70 years, is being treated this way, me that I'm 40-something years or 50 years, and he's been, they are going after him because of maybe an issue about maybe just $500 million or $500,000 case, and somebody who has an intention of stealing from the state about maybe 10 million, he will sit up because that alone, the court aspect hasn't come. The arrest aspect, the trauma, the psychological effect, you know, the public perception alone would deter the person from carrying on such
quickly.
The logic and the analogy is just lost on me, to be honest with you. I mean, assuming that you go through that process and the person is found innocent. What have we done?
Yeah.
And that's the reason why we say that we want to act in a civilized manner in how we treat ourselves. I'm not saying, I didn't say that Kofi Juma should not be held accountable for his stewardship.
Or treated any special.
And even the law says that even somebody that you call a common criminal who has even stolen a goat has rights.
Yes,
and that
is innocent until proven guilty.
Yes, we've had incidents in this country where we have gone after the police in terms of using high-handedness when it comes to some of these things, even ordinary people. You understand? And so I don't have a challenge with that. But you see, this analogy of, okay, that will become a deterrent. And it's almost if it's, when you're using words like allegedly. Now, if you're using words like allegedly and you're going to arrest the guy and you're going there with all guns blazing and people wearing balaclavas and all of that. I mean, how does that
serve as a deterrent?
Serve as a deterrent. You know what I'm saying? So all I'm saying is that, yes, go ahead and prosecute if you want, do also. But even the inconsistencies, right? And the hypocrisy of it. So in one breath, you're claiming that Kofi Juma has taken some vehicles. And so you're sending security personnel to his house to arrest him and take him through a process and show him where power lies and bring him from Kumasi to Accra. Yet you come into office and every single criminal or a corruption case, prosecution that was going through the judicial process, you have truncated the process by nolli prosequi. I mean, come on. You understand? But you see, it can only happen in this country because, one, a government has lost power, a new government has come, there's a certain sense of goodwill and everything. So it's almost as if that everything that they do is like is covered in. You understand? But they look at it with rose-tinted glasses. But the reality is that for us, for even the Ghanaian people to believe that the political class are actually doing what is right, there has to be consistency, right, and some level of principle in this conversation. So I'm not against anybody, right, and I'm not going to defend anybody that has taken state resources and all of that and is going through due process. But I'm saying that this Rambo style of arrest, because you see, what you don't want to happen. You know, in this country, we always wait for something bad to happen. Imagine this thing goes, you go into somebody's home and something untoward happens. Maybe somebody's gun mistakenly goes off or whatever, and somebody ends up, then it becomes, you understand? And I'm saying that we are coming from a backdrop of Martyrs' Day and all of those people, judges who were picked from their homes and murdered for all sorts of things, and people justify the reasons why they were murdered and all of those things, and people are still reeling. You understand? People have still not forgiven. So we cannot pretend as if that, oh, it's business as usual because it's happening to persons in the MPP at the moment, or it happened to people in NDC in the past. So even in 2055, 2065, we should continue. That is my point. But anyway.
Let me bring in Larry Dogbe. Larry Dogbe is the editor of the Herald newspaper. As far back as in May, I think May 16 or so, you had a publication on state security going after
I had, or the Herald had.
Well, the Herald. I mean, the Herald newspaper had this publication. State security chases Kofi Juma over Georg's financial rot.
True.
So perhaps you might have some information to share with us. Please go ahead.
Okay, so good morning to our viewers. Sorry, I got stuck in some domestic matters. So I think that Kofi Juma has always behaved as though he's above the law. And Eric knows that for a fact. We've all...
Eric, do you?
Oh, he knows it.
Why is he putting it?
Yes, he knows it. Eric knows it. Don't you know it, Tufo? Superu. I mean, everybody, our viewers who attest to that Kofi Juma has always behaved that he's above the law. Even his talk, his utterances, his political discourse, everything.
But like, you shouldn't allow
I'm
that
coming.
You shouldn't allow that to...
No, listen. I mean, wait. I'm building a point.
point.
Don't disturb my thinking, Eric, my brother. See, he has always behaved as though he's above the law. You get it? As you rightly mentioned, when?
May 16.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and they started, I mean, my information is that they started looking for him long ago. They will call him, listen, this is in your custody. Others have taken over, you know, the administration of that, the state institution. And that all the properties that are at your, you know, whatever, can you return them? The man will snub everybody. He will snub everybody. They started looking for him not today. Called him. I mean, I think people were trying to be, the state, you know, was trying to be gentle with him. I don't think these guys are as, what you call it, draconian, I mean, for want of a better word, as sometimes we try to paint them. Some of them are professionals. But I see politicians have always behaved as though they are above the law. So they'll call you in a gentle manner, oh, listen, the state is investigating this thing. And they do so because they know that, listen, parties will go, parties will come.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are state officials or security officials that are going to stay in office for quite some time. Their appointments or promotions and so on are, you know, are tied to, you know,
political tenure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they will invite you in a gentle manner, so and so. But very often you have politicians who feel that they are above the law and they don't comply with some of these invitations. It was a similar thing that was witnessed in the case of Wontumi. It was a similar thing that was... And then when these state officials move in, and with all the vehicles and then the guns and so on, because they don't know why you are behaving like that. Should just an individual come so that you beat him up, or your boys will beat them up? So they storm the place. I mean, in any case, if they tell you that they are coming, you could leave the place. So then they storm there with all whatever it is that he was mentioning, and then the politicians again, you know, twist that thing to me that why are you coming with, you know, gun blazing? Why are you using 20-something vehicles? Why are you using motorbikes? Why are you using this, bicycles, all that and so on, to come and arrest me? Am I that dangerous? If you weren't dangerous, why did you refuse to show up?
When you were invited.
When you were invited. Napo just told us that, listen, he's been going to this, you know, he's been honoring some of these invitations.
Nobody has.
And nobody has had issues. And it's not just Napo, so many of them. Listen, I keep saying that you can't call yourself a new patriotic party, and when you're supposed to come and render your civic duty, your patriotic duties, you say that, no, don't touch me. You are doing political witch hunting. When you label yourself, you need to live by that label. Obviously, I mean, these are guys who don't want to live by the label. Do you understand?
Yeah.
As far back as May. So even if he says that he had changed his phone numbers, okay, and so people couldn't contact him. How about some of these publications that, you know, very credible institutions like yours and many others, you know, reported on, and other newspapers reported on this particular invitation. So the law-abiding, what you call it, Kofi Juma, didn't hear of this to say that, oh, I hear you guys are looking for me. What is the issue? And at the time, I think he released a particular vehicle. Why? What is the issue? Do you understand?
Yeah.
So then you are, honoring your civic duties. Then the appointer, who was, who is your in-law? That is the president, the ex-president, Nana Akufo-Addo. Okay? Then you are honoring his name. You get what I'm saying? But no, you didn't. So a point where it has to lead to whatever it is that we are dealing with now. Then again, you have politicians twisting it. Oh, why are you arresting the guy in the manner you are arresting him? In the middle of the night. When at the time you went there, had something happened, as Eric, my brother, tried to say. Had something happened, meaning if there was, crossfire, supposedly, what would have happened? Who would you have blamed? But you see, Kofi Juma wouldn't have told you that they called him several times. He wouldn't have said that they even invited him. Sorry, he even gave out one of his cars. At the point in time, even one of his sons spoke to the state security agencies. Do you understand? So, why do we have to go to this, thing all the time? And let me tell you, if you go through Kofi Juma's background, Kofi Juma has been around for years.
Oh, yeah.
He's a contemporary of Nana Konadu Ajiman. The late PV Obeng, they were together in KNUST. Took part in NUCS, Ghana Union students and all those things. So he's an established institution. Kumase Mayor, former deputy minister for local government under President Kufuor, gotten so many other appointments under President Akufo-Addo. An in-law of President Akufo-Addo because his son is married to the president's, the then president's daughter. So you need to live by a certain reputation. You don't get to this particular thing. Vehicles gone. Properties were sold belonging to Gihok. That, they said, listen, they are looking into this particular matter. Come and give an account of your stewardship. If you love Ghana, if you are patriotic, we don't get to this level.
Could the state security agencies, after they pick them up in this way, come out and explain to us that indeed we had invited them on several occasions and they refused or rejected the invitation, for which reason we had no other option than to go ahead? Then it puts this matter to rest.
Have you made contact with the state security agencies?
But they should be able to communicate to us. They should
be able to, but I'm saying that, have you made contact with them?
No.
Exactly. Okay? Exactly. So maybe if you had made contact with them, your questioning will be different.
Yes, but, I get where you're coming from, but that's what I'm saying.
I also get where you're coming from, where, you see, the state, sometimes, when you leave a vacuum, everybody,
there's room from the guilty,
everybody
will throw in whatever.
Yes, there's nothing like empty. This container that is empty, there's something in there, which is air.
Yeah.
So once they leave the vacuum, the politicians, they will exploit it. And indeed, I have no issue with them, doing so. However, listen, why would Kofi Juma, at your level, how many years more? You are over 80. I'm saying that he's over 80 years. You don't.
He's 70 plus.
Sorry, 70 plus, almost 80. You don't leave some of these things for for your children to come and be dealing with, your grandchildren to come and be dealing with. You serve the state, diligently or otherwise. There are questions about your stewardship. Chief, come and respond to it. On the matter of the cars, some of the cars apparently they were bought. And within 2 years, they were sold to him. A letter went to STC for valuation.
98,000.
Okay.
And then they bought that car for 4,000. I think 4,900 cedis.
And that exposes an even deeper problem, even pointing figures at officials at STC, State Transport Company.
Well, but what communication went to them? What discussion went on at the board level? Do you understand?
So this is what happened. I think the valuation report, when they valued the car, it was supposed to cost 98,000 Ghana.
Yeah.
But that same car was sold at a cost of 4,000.
Is that the Genesis or the Sequoia?
I think one of them.
Okay. So how many cars were at his disposal?
Initially we had 3, but his lawyers are saying 2 he legally owns.
Owned by who?
Kofi Juma.
Because he had used the STC process to acquire it. Charlie, some of these things, anyway. But talking about the Nole prosecutor. For me, I belong to the school of thought that says that shouldn't have been done. Allow the processes to go through.
Yeah.
But the feedback I got from, talking to some of the people were that some of the judges, but their demeanor at the court level was to prove a point. Because at the time we had an attorney general who was accused of judge shopping. Shopping for judges. Oh, listen, I prefer this judge.
On this
I want that
case.
judge. To a point where some of the judges, who retired and their cases handed over to new judges, those judges said that, listen, I want to, start this whole case afresh. Okay? As soon as he said that, the Chief Justice who is under,
suspended CJ.
Exactly, transferred that judge to Kumasi. I'm talking about the Opuni case.
Yeah.
Do you get it? And brought in a judge that, for whatever they, for whatever purpose they wanted. If you had appointed me to take over a certain case, I want to appreciate the case from whatever it is. And his claim was that, the new judge was that, listen, some of these cases had been tainted politically. They are too controversial for me to just assume the case at this stage as it is. So do you know something? Let's start this whole process all over again. And an attorney general said, no, I don't want it like that. Went to Court of Appeal, had the, whatever it is, thrown, I think won the Court of Appeal, but then at the Supreme Court level, the whole thing was thrown off. But in between that, the judge had been transferred to Kumasi on a phone call. When I remember Herald did
I'm sure this will be backed by official documents.
The Herald did a publication. The Chief Justice then issued a press statement or sent out a rejoinder saying that said that the transfer was purely an administrative procedure. An administrative procedure that had the Attorney General then going to the Court of Appeal and subsequently to the Supreme Court. Do you understand? It smells something else.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
So then the new government comes and says, you know something, you can't trust some of these judges by their conduct.
But Larry, if you go that route, then it means that we have a broken system. Then the same judges.
The system was broken. The system was broken before.
I'm not saying. You see,
Eric, let me ask you this.
No,
so you are on a case. I'm coming.
Larry,
you are being prosecuted. Eric, you are being prosecuted. Eric, you are being prosecuted, and you have your rights, certain civil rights. It's like, listen, this whole thing, and then a judge, as in Superior, or I'm coming, let me finish. So, Tufor says that, listen, I have taken over this case. Eric, for your own betterment, I want to start this whole thing afresh. Then, let's say, Samen sits somewhere and says that, oh, listen, Tufor, listen, let's take you off the thing.
But see, Larry,
what does that suggest?
You didn't.
It means that Summers wants a certain effect.
But you didn't take your time.
True of us.
That's a picture.
You didn't take your time to listen to what I'm saying. I'm saying that if you're going by that analogy, then really we are lost as a country.
It's not my analogy, but it's a fact that
no, but you see, that's what I'm saying. That you see, if you're going by that analogy, where even there's a given whatever it is that you're saying is what has happened. Now, these same judges are still the judges that we are dealing with. It's the same judicial system. We haven't added new people into the system. It's all of a sudden, because there's a change in government, the orientation and their inclinations will change. So for me, I think that if we, in certain instances, we want to follow the Constitution to the letter, right? And go into that. Then in other cases, for some reason, we allow expediency and convenience to hold sway. And that is when issues like emotions and sentiments and justifications come into play. When really, in one breath, you have a system that comes there. For example, I mean, you brought the Chief Justice conversation, so I'll say a little bit of it. For example, the NDC government is saying that they are following the Constitution to the letter, right? Because a petition has been, or a series of petitions have been sent to the presidency, and they are following to the letter. Right. Yet, they didn't follow. They didn't allow the process, like for this thing to go through, because they use discretion and all of that to do that. And I'm saying that when you do that, and somebody's sitting back and takes a cursory look at all of this, even plus the stuff that Larry has said, then it points to a system that is actually totally broken.
But that's what it is.
The MPP lost an election. This, embarrassing.
No. You see, but we are not going. We are not.
Let's
here to
go
discuss.
there.
We are not here to discuss.
Is that the current state of the system?
No, but that is why I'm saying that. You see, that's what I'm saying.
And it's you politicians who have to be blamed for it.
I don't have a problem with blaming politicians. All I'm saying is that, as we speak today, if we are minded by fixing the issues, the challenges, it is not an MPP problem or an NDC problem. It's a Ghanaian problem, right? And say that, okay,
that should be addressed by Ghanaians.
Exactly.
And then why those fixing it, they are not Ghanaians?
Oh no, but you're not getting my point. I think that so today, why me and you?
No, I'm sorry. Sometimes
you're a bit frustrated. Why? Because you attacked me on Kofi Juma, and Kofi Juma is not my dad. He's not my dad.
No, it doesn't have to be your dad.
Right. So all that I'm saying is that we need to be careful with these things, right? Because it doesn't matter how long these things take. There's always a cyclical thing. So this person does this to this person over a period, and it's not a problem. And then you can even use a judicial process. I mean, you can manipulate the judicial process to suit a certain agenda. However, in the final analysis, some of these conversations will come to the fore. There are conversations people are having which happened 42 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? And people are still
lessons learned.
Exactly. Can I finish up? See, let me tell you. This is not the first time that we are having a nolle prosequi filed. Okay?
Yeah.
This is not the first time. After President Mills, election, there were people who were, prosecuted. Do you understand?
Yeah.
The Kufuor element, government jailed, a few other people. The likes of Chachuchi Kata,
Dana
Bodaki, many of them, some of the Ibrahim Adams, Kwame Pepras, Sepa Yankee, and many, some of them I have forgotten. Now, but then after President Mills, MPP people were some of them were put on trial. I recall Anani, so many others. Oh, okay. Who? As a mom is your in-law.
Yeah. So, this is disclosure.
The wife, Zuleika, is.
Zuleika was my mate at GIJ.
Oh, very.
Okay, nice person. Then after Mills, I mean the Mahama, inherited some of those. Now, when President Akufo-Addo took over. Some of the people who were on trial asked whether the trial continued.
I think you're making my point.
Oh, I'm coming.
No, Eric, please allow him to land.
Ask whether the trial continued. In that instance, I'm sure they filed a nolle prosequi, but it wasn't. Nothing was heard about it. Unlike this time around, where a statement was issued, a press conference was held, and then Ayeni telling us, why he had to file the nolle prosequi. In the case of Akufo-Addo, nolle prosequis were done, but nobody heard about it. You get
there was
it?
no communication.
So the scene of the Mahama government is that Ayeni held a press conference.
It's being transparent with the issues.
Well, if you call it that transparency, that's okay. Now, so this is not the first time that we have had to go. We have had to go through a thing like this. I wrote a few other things. I forgot to.
Very well. Let me bring down the temperature in the room a bit by taking a few messages. This one says, good morning, Eric. There's nothing wrong with arresting or inviting a 70-year-old man for questioning. Any politician who thinks he or she is too old and above the law should not accept political appointment. Okay. This one says, holding former government officials accountable for their stewardship is justified, but isn't it questionable and a selective justice when the NDC government sees nothing wrong with leaving Sedina Tamaklo off the hook? Pascal Dunyo from Afife is sending that. This one says, it's time for Ghanaians to look at the severity of the damage that corruption is causing to the country. Officials are stealing millions of dollars, which can do so much for Ghana, and you want to glorify him? Some countries kill corrupt people because they understand how destructive corruption is. It posed the country years back. That's why 68 years after independence, we still have our roads untarred and our children sitting under trees as classrooms. We have to be very hard on corruption or we will never, ever progress. Okay, that's what you think. Let's relate this issue. Of course, they are linked because they're still within the fight against corruption to the bail conditions set for the former Buffer Stock CEO and his wife. 60 and 30 million cedis respectively. Eric, I'll start off with you. We saw what transpired during the Wontumi issue. Now, same Iyoko, similar bail conditions against former appointees of the previous administration.
Well, I mean, because it's happened before. I mean, I think with the Dubois issue as well. I think it was just yesterday that I read somewhere that a Ghanaian citizen has taken an issue to the Supreme Court regarding this even bail conditions and the 48-hour rule and testing the Constitution. And for me, I like these things because then it actually sort of strengthens our democracy and enriches it. So the point is that, yes, you have a constitution. Again, and that is my challenge. And maybe I'm belaboring this point too much. So you have a constitution that has in there as enshrined the rights of the Ghanaian citizen. That states that if the state feels that an individual has done anything wrong and wants to persecute that person, within 48 hours, you have to take the person to court. And so if you arrest a person in 48 hours, you don't, whatever, you have to give them bail to go. Then the same state has bail conditions that sometimes are very difficult for the person to meet. Right? So this individual is going to court and say that, okay, if in that situation, within that 48 hours, when that individual is arrested, by all means, the state has to go to court for that court to now subject or institute those bail conditions. So that it is not, let's assume that I was the head of a security agency and Larry or somebody comes to me and then I said, okay, when I look at Larry, I'll set a 500 million CD bail condition. So that, you see, the system is sanitized. You see,
I know you will do that.
I will. Right? You know, but you understand my point. So for me, you see, when we have these conversations, for me, I don't take even getting an opportunity to come and sit on these platforms for granted. When we get these opportunities, it's almost as if that we are trying to contribute again to our democracy and how we govern ourselves. And for me, it's important to look at it because, again, when it's happening to other people or like people who are politically exposed, it's okay, it's populist and everything. But it's happening to ordinary persons.
Yeah.
You understand? There's a guy who's been accused of stealing a mobile phone somewhere and is in the cell for 3, 4, 5 weeks or something like that. It turns out that it's not even the one that did it and he's been accused wrongly and all of that. And if you go to law school, for example, they will say that it's better for 9 people to get away, right, with something than one innocent person to be subjected to this. And that is the reason why you put these rules and regulations and these laws in place. You know, so it's difficult to have these conversations even as a politician because oh, there we go again. A political person has been arrested and we don't want them to be accountable and all of that. But we're trying to sanitize the system. We're trying to build a democracy, right? As imperfect as it is it the case that we can do it? Because if it happens that there's somebody who is closer to you, a relative or whatever, then all of a sudden you start shouting that these persons' rights are being trampled upon. And so, I mean, the justification for setting these high bail conditions and all of that, I don't understand, I don't know. Is it a case that is being used as a form of persecution? Because people have held those opinions in the past, right? But for me, let's allow the process, so that there's sanity. You know that if you arrest somebody, I mean, and that's the point about even these arrests. you are not ready. Some prior investigations have to be done before you even invite the suspect, or you go and do your Rambo style. Then you say, no, I'm going to go there, arrest the guy, and start doing my investigations. You are unable to meet the 48-hour rule, which is there, which is part of our rules and regulations, the legal process, and all of that, right? So for me, it's difficult to have these conversations, but the reality is that it's almost as if that we apply these rules as and when we want, and then in other cases we don't even want to apply at all. And people who are, it's the same way we are holding politicians to feet to fire, right? We have to do same in almost every facet of our national discourse. Otherwise, it's almost as if that everybody can, if you are a national security operative, or you are a police officer, or you are this and that, and you are security personnel, you can flout all the rules. Yet other persons are being penalized for flouting similar rules or other rules.
Yeah.
It cannot be a fair system. That's my view.
Honorable Sukwaru, I mean, we've learned from the Womb to Me issue that you can actually go to court to seek variation of the bail conditions. Is this an option?
Yes, it has always been part of the options. When you are detained and you are granted bail, that you think that the bail condition is too much for you to come, you can go to court for the bail condition to be varied. And I'm happy somebody has gone to Supreme Court to challenge the status quo. I mean, when it comes to the arrest and detention for the 48 hours, and then the bail conditions. And yes, like my brother said, but investigations, it depends on it depends on the particular state security institution that is handling. Police has their own way of granting bail, Yoko, national security, and what have you, and that includes self-recognition depending on the kind of offense. That also includes you getting persons to come and sign, just physically present, and say that when the person is, is nowhere to be found, they should be held reliable. Right. No, whereas some with surety, like for justification in terms of asset and all of it, depending on the quantum of the alleged, amount being investigated. In the case of Hanan, I don't know the amount of money that is being accused of, but we only had the bail condition of 60 million, and his spouse also 30 million. I think that his lawyers should, if they think they cannot come, it's difficult for them to come by the bail condition. We live in a country that is governed by the constitution and the laws of this country, which requires that you can go to any high court to seek for bail variation. I believe when they go to court, probably the court can consider their plea by varying the bail condition, especially that the two couples are in detention, and I'm told that they have 3 children, 1, 9, 5, and 3 years. And so if you don't have somebody at home that the children are used to, that also becomes a serious issue on the children. And so I would use this opportunity to urge the lawyers, we should not do politics with this, as we've seen in the case of Witumi case, that I saw my colleagues who went to sit on the floor instead of going to court to seek for bail. They decided to go and sit on the floor and be chanted.
We've not seen that happen in this case.
We've not seen it. Yes. So I think the right thing must be done. They should use the processes, which is the court, to seek for the variation, so that they can grant them bail, and the Yoko can also continue with the investigation. I'm told that he's been granted bail since last week. It is the condition of the bail that they are struggling to meet. That has been the issue. And of course, you can also, as Ghanaian, we can also dictate to Yoko to say that, what he's currently doing is against the law. He's acting within the laws of our country. That considering the case that he's been investigated upon, they look at the quantum of the case and say that maybe if they say that 10 million Ghana cedis or 20 million, he may run away, considering that. But if they say 60 million, I mean, whoever that is coming, the person must come with those assets, justified that, yes, indeed, when he's nowhere to be found, the person, those assets can be, taken by the state. And so they should use the court. We should not also do politics, like I said, that it is a political witch hunt. If it is a political witch hunt, we've seen the case of Kofi Juma, who was arrested. The bail condition, I saw something like 500. I think it depends on the
500,000.
500,000. So it depends on the particular case and the amount of money involved.
Or sometimes the institution doing the investigation.
Exactly. So the institution, like I stated,
because to me was granted bail by CID,
and then picked up by Yoko, and then the bail conditions changed. Of course, and so be a Yoko, which is economic, how do you call it? An organized crime office. I mean, you would expect that their conditions certainly would be different from that of the CID or any other institution. It is sad that it's happening this way, because Hanan is a very young man like myself, and as young as we are the future of this country. And so when opportunities are given to us, I'm my 40s. So if opportunity is given to us as young people to serve our country and build a nation for us, for ourselves and for our children tomorrow, what we expect is that to make ourselves proud. But when things turns out this way, it's a bit worrying that you see a young person who is supposed to be the future of the country is involved in this. His future, his credibility, allegedly, his integrity, everything is being questioned. And so that also gives our leaders some kind of thinking that it is like the youth are not ready for the work.
Thank you. Larry, I'll come to you, but I need to take a break at this point. After the break, I'll come to Larry Dogbe on his initial thoughts on the bail conditions set for the former Buffer Stock Company CEO and his wife. This is Breakfast Daily on Channel 1 TV. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Every day, people have money emergencies. Ma, I need my school fees emergency. Mommy, chop money emergency. Emergency. Catch it. I'm your rent emergency. Now, there's a new emergency number in town.
More money, challenge and enjoyment. At the top life we got.
Dial star 770 hash for all your money emergencies and chop life.
Dial star 770 hash for money emergencies and get easy and quick access to your money, loans, and other banking needs. EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together.
Where politics meets power, where the tough questions are asked, welcome to Face to Face. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Umaru Sanda Amadou as he takes you face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, the Attorney General?
Yes. I think he was directed to jail us.
By who?
By the system.
Boku has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yende, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed
in us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. If you based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Umaru Sanda Amadou airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV, where politics gets real.
Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 TV. News review segment currently underway. It's now the turn of Larry Dogbe to give a submission regarding the bail conditions set for the former Buffer Stock CEO and his wife. For want of a better description, Yoko is gaining popularity for setting some of these conditions. There's the argument that it's deliberate to prolong detention. There's also the argument that is to aid in investigations. Where do you stand? What are your thoughts on this?
I'll say this, and then I'll pick it from a point. But quite apart from that, let me go back to what Eric on
on which one?
On the bit about
the nolle prosequi?
The nolle prosequi, and then the fact that a petition was put before, the use of discretionary power. Yeah, President Akufo-Addo, when he had a discretionary power, based on what the Constitution, the constitutional requirement, before him, a petition was put before him with respect to the same Chief Justice. He threw it away. True or false?
Did he? The Council of State did not establish a prima facie.
He threw it away. But then another Council of State felt, saw merit in whatever has happened here. And then President Mahama moved on to suspend the Chief Justice. So there are different personalities, man, state, and war. There are two different personalities here. The approaches to things are different. Do you understand? And that is what we voted for. Let's allow it to go. It was respected then. It should be respected now. Okay? And then we all see through it. Tomorrow, if somebody else is in the seat and is, being vindictive, we can read through that as well. Do you get it? Let's go through it. Now, in the case of Hanan, let me pick it from here. Raymond Archer, I had worked with Raymond Archer at the Enquirer.
Yeah.
Before Raymond became, the Yoko boss. Raymond has practiced journalism in this town for God knows how long. He's won several awards, investigative journalism and so on. Before the emergence of Anas, Raymond was, was Raymond.
Yeah, quite celebrated.
Exactly. I mean, worked with Kofi Kumsin, Ghanaian Chronicle.
Yeah.
Had established himself. Move on to establish, the Enquirer. That I worked with. And my years with working with Raymond, I didn't see Raymond as a very vindictive and vicious or treacherous character. So the brush that people are painting him with, I mean, for me, it surprises me.
Can circumstances change you? Situations you go through.
Oh, yeah, it could change you. But if you know Raymond, he's a matured guy. You might see him as a young guy. But he's a very mature person. He's not, I've worked with Raymond. Right. I know what I'm talking about.
Quite refined. He's not the raw type
I know what I'm talking about. He knows how to handle himself. Neat. You get it? So, I mean, today he found himself in an arena where politicians are involved. So, any mad at all, is being true. Exactly. I mean, by people from whom accountability is being extracted. And, depending on the situation, then the kind of thing you throw. But Raymond is not like that. You need to get to know him better, and you appreciate him. He deals with, politicians, both sides.
On either side.
Exactly. And Chronicle, I mean, made its name when Rawlings was in office. Okay, and Raymond worked with Rawlings. We all know Kofi Kumsin.
Yeah.
Raymond's publications are there. Enquira, Kufuor's, presidency, what Enquira became, and and so on. We all know what it is. After he moved on to go and establish his printing press business, private business.
The one McDonald destroyed?
Well, that's another discussion altogether. So I know Raymond very well. Eric Chum also knows him quite well. And he knows that Raymond is not the kind of people.
There's a smile on your face when you mention Eric.
No, Eric is my brother. Eric will tell you. When this, this course is over, we know what we talk about.
Well,
do you understand? Very nice guy.
Well.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. The difference is, he's tall and the muscle.
Someone told me that my dad is your brother. That you are related to my dad. Is it true?
I'm an Igbe boy through and through. My dad is half Ghana, half Dangme. Yes. I mean, a few times we've spoken. So if on that level he's a brother, no problem. Eric is also, somebody said.
Yeah, you guys are related.
No, we are never related.
I was wondering how your brother destroys your former working colleagues.
No, we are not related.
He's trying to distract you.
Yeah. Carry on.
On Hanan, I don't know whether during the last administration, the Herald had a lot of information about Hanan, and we made several efforts to speak to Hanan over it. Procurement breaches, so inflated prices, so many other acquisition of properties in Tamale and so many other places and so on. And we made several efforts to talk to Hanan. Hanan wouldn't avail himself. So what we did was to start publishing coming up
okay.
with his picture there.
Okay.
So then
sort of a teaser.
Yes. Then he panicked. Then started making calls all over the place, getting people to intercede on his behalf and all that. Eventually, a meeting was arranged between us and then another journalist a journalist, who is a colleague. We met. Most of the things we put before him, he denied them flat. But earlier, I think the minority then, as in the NDC minority, had issued a statement about certain procurement issues as far as buffer stock was concerned. And they said they had picked it up from audited account of the company, where food prices were inflated, food quantities of food that were supplied to various schools didn't meet the kind of the quantity what was stated.
Yeah.
And then what was was inflated. More like you delivered 2 bags, but then they said they supplied 10 bags. Exactly.
They just had a zero.
Yeah. So I mean, buffer stock has had issues.
Yeah.
Hanan's administration, I mean, has issues. Okay. I don't know whether that is what Raymond or the Iyoko is chasing.
Perhaps they look at the magnitude or the quantum involved in the alleged malfeasance or misappropriation, and then they set the bill at that level.
Well, so, I mean, coming to the bill, maybe that is where we are now. But at the time where we were following this up, the name of the wife didn't come up anywhere. But the story that is gaining grounds is that the wife, I mean, he and then the wife had set up a private company that they were using to do business with
the buffer stock.
Yeah, with the buffer stock. That is quite strange.
Conflict of interest.
Yeah, conflict of interest. Clearly, if that is established. Yeah. So maybe it is out of some of these things that the bail condition is where it is. You get it. But as Suparu, is it Suparu or Suparu? Suparu said, what's the meaning? You don't know. Okay. So as Suparu said, Honorable Suparu said, I mean, if you have issues, go to court to have the bail condition varied.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the wife also being involved and with 3 children, okay, who don't obviously know where their parents are. Sally, that is strange. Sorry, that is to me, sad. Because at least if your dad is gone, you expect your
mom to be home.
To be home. Now the two of them are locked up. You have to wake up in the morning, or somebody has to wake you up in the morning, dress you up, and take you to school and so on, pick you up from school. When you come, by the time you get home, food is ready for you to eat. I mean, some of these things really could distort, and these children could live with, whatever condition, for whatever. I mean, even at a stage, when your son could come to you and say that, oh, Daddy, would you go for another meeting?
Or clearly that is missing from home.
So it means that Charlie, your absence is being felt and so on. And for the children to wake up and then, oh, Daddy, mommy, and you don't know, they don't know where they are going. Even if you are arrested for a day or a weekend, by the time you come back, something could have happened to this case, because the kind of attention that you give them, I mean, the caretaker will never
be able to do so.
I mean,
and these kids have access to social media
precisely, and it should just tell you that whatever we do, sometimes insulate your wife, okay, from some of these things. If it's you, just do them. Go and cook whatever deal you have to cook. But the very moment you get your wife involved, there's trouble. We are dealing with a Dubuahi and then the wife.
Yeah.
Okay, Daddy is gone. Mommy was also locked up. By the time they come back, who else's wife is also involved in this thing? But it appears the last administration, a lot of wives got involved.
It's a partnership.
A lot of wives got involved.
You speak that.
Is that?
You speak that.
Eloquently.
Okay. Bio.
Aye Mokosane. No. Bio.
I mean, see, these things, for me, anyway, let's allow the due process to take place.
Let's give time some time.
And then
let's give time some time.
And let's see how all these cases pan out. I mean, like we were saying even before, during the break, I mean, for me, I'd have been very excited to see that once all these things is happening, the prosecutions would have started.
Yeah.
But because then it's a bit difficult for me to understand how there's so much verve and say that these things have been found and everything.
Yeah.
And then
the prosecution
is the bail process that is stalling the process. That's for me.
Yeah. So
when you do that,
but you see, this is about state versus somebody.
Yeah.
And building a case, I'm not a lawyer, but you need to even get the witnesses. Everybody must be.
So why don't you do?
How do you build a case when you haven't interrogated the person?
Yeah, interrogation is part of the thing.
The interrogation is part of building. So after interrogation,
they invite you to write a statement.
Yes.
But the law,
so you must get the witnesses.
Statement.
The law gives you 48 hours to prosecute basically take the person to court. And then the court now will dictate. The court dictates that process of either this person is a flight risk, this person needs to be remanded, and all of that. And I'm saying that so that for the avoidance of these.
No,
I'm not a lawyer.
He's not yet a lawyer.
Right.
So Eric, so this is what the law says. The 48 hours, if you are not able to finish with your investigation for whatever reason you are detaining the person for,
you have to convince the court.
You must take the person to the court, and then the court can remind the person in custody
based on your argument to the court.
Yes, based on your argument to the court. In this case, they've granted all the people that have been arrested. They've given them bail even before the 48 hours. So what is now holding on to the bail? It is the condition of the bail. After the bail, they've always granted them bail even before the 48 hours.
And that is where the challenge is, the tune to which the bail is set.
So bail is bail. So that is what they are saying that. So assuming the person is detained, you haven't given the person the bail, and it is 48 hours. You have no right to detain the person. The only right you can get is taking the person to court and argue your case. If court can say, okay, I'm going to put the person in custody, remind the person, go and carry on with your investigations. You understand? So what is currently happening is that After arresting the person, within 24 hours, they grant the person the bail. But the issue always has to do with the bail condition. Meeting the condition. And in our case, the Constitution did not state the bail condition that in the case of ABCD, if you have an issue with somebody with an amount of this allegedly stolen by the person, this should be the range between this and that. It is not stated.
Right.
So you see where
there's a lacuna in there.
Yes, that's
why somebody's taking the thing to the Supreme Court. Please
wrap up
so
on
you
this.
see, various institutions have their modus operandi. So IOCO would have its own, so, you know,
NIB will have its own,
NIB,
Ghana Police will have its
CID, you know, and all that will have all their this thing. And I think that I don't want to believe that what IOCO is doing is anything out of the ordinary. I mean, have they granted?
I mean, if it's not permissible by law, it would have been challenged by now.
Precisely. You get it?
Yeah.
I mean, you might want to demand a humane or human approach, you know, into this particular thing. But words such as political vendetta, retribution, witch hunting, so and so, as you see in the minority statement signed by Patricia PJ, you know, the deputy minority leader. I mean, that what was wrong yesterday cannot be right today, and that this whole thing is somebody is on a mission to score.
But when it was wrong yesterday, it felt good.
Well, so somebody is on a mission for witch hunting or settling political scores and so on. What was wrong yesterday? What was done yesterday? That you felt that what is happening today, it's witch hunting or political, you know, retribution, all that, punitive, and I mean, these are very strong words.
Yeah,
you get it. I mean, we can only demand accountability from our leaders because they were paid salaries.
Yeah.
They will take home end of service benefit. They got allowances. They live in homes that the taxpayers paid. They drove fuel. At the end of the day, they even took homes, cars, other properties, and so on. They signed things on our behalf. So if after all that, things are discovered and they call you down, Nana Tufo, please come and speak to this particular matter. It couldn't be witch hunting. And as I said earlier, they would have called you to say that, please, Hanan, so and so and so. It is when you refuse to show up, then some of these things do happen.
Right.
But once we are demanding human face from those in
the
charge,
authorities,
the
suspect should also
be human. Exactly. Your hands
must be clean,
must not be dirty. Okay, so you said that you won't show up. Then the guy go draconia. Then you start screaming, witch hunting, punitive, political vendettas, personal scores.
Right.
For how long must we live with this?
Right. Let me come to Honorable Supari. 24-hour economy is here.
Yes.
In a minute or two, tell us about it.
It's a very great policy that we expect to be a game changer for the youth unemployment situation in our country. And as we campaign with it, we told the people of this country that we're going to bring a policy like 24-hour economy where we have 3 shift once job. It means that you have 1 job, 3 people, 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. That is 24 hours. So that's the 24-hour economy. So a team was put together led by the former presidential candidate aspirant Gusitano. And I think they are done with their work. They submitted it to the president. I think on the 2nd, it will be launched. And you've seen that it's going to really boost our employment situation in this country. I have always been waiting for this 24-hour economy because one of the greatest challenges we have apart from infrastructure in this country is the youth unemployment. And so for you to have a country that has a future, you must see the youth being engaged in so many productive ways. And so one of the things that we can do to engage our youth economically, it is a policy like 24-hour economy where you can have organizations like National Identification Authority. You go to their offices and you will see people queuing just simply because they want to acquire national identification cards. Meanwhile, those persons who are queuing for the cards are supposed to be somewhere working at the same time. And so some persons find it difficult because at the time they will close from work, NIA is also closed. Same applies to national, how do you call it, the driver licenses, and all kinds of other places, including
Passport
the
office.
manufacturing. So we want a policy like this so that there can be a policy direction, the mechanism, how it's going to be implemented. And government has come out with, some of the incentives that will be given to especially the private sectors. If you have an organization that you are going to engage in sign on to the 24-hour economy, there's going to be a mechanism that they will be monitoring to see the number of you that you've been able to recruit, and that some of the things that you have to benefit, government will ensure that that is given to you so that your business can expand, so that you employ more youth, and with that, we'll be able to, have a very productive
Will
country.
this add to the government's expenditure? Because it did not find representation in the budget.
So I don't know if you listen to what he says, government is only supposed to get some amount of, I think, 300 to 400 million US dollar to support, but majority of the money is going to come from the private sector. And so he says that we are starting it. And so by the time we get to next year, by this time, we will be able to know the amount, how much that is going to cost us. But of course, many other sectors have already started 24-hour economy. Some, if you got, I think, last I saw, how do you call it, DVLA, the CEO was talking about implementing it somewhere last month.
Of the passport office.
The passport office.
The president says Temaport,
exactly, Temaport and all of that. I've had the opportunity of working at the port. And I remember those days how importers used to pay a lot of demorages because you will be working on somebody's shipment. I've worked with DHL before, so you'll be working on the shipment. When it is 5 o'clock, they say the
office is closed.
The office is closed.
Very well.
And a day demurrage can make somebody run a lot of losses.
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars. And so if we have a system like 24-hour economy, it means that when 5 o'clock, others are closing, others are starting.
Team takes over.
So it will make it very,
well.
competitive. So this is a great policy, and I know my brother Eric, and he's my friend. And
let's see if he supports it in 1 minute.
Of course, he will support it. One thing about him,
oh wow! You're a trophy guest. We are best mates somewhere.
Oh, okay. So you see, my orientation when it comes to public policy is to take a back seat and look. So my first question would be, what are the key objectives of this particular 24-hour, and how do we measure the effectiveness of this policy? And so I would have expected some pre-evaluation, if you like, metrics, and then post maybe a year and a half, 2 years, we'll be able to come back here and do a post-evaluation of whatever public policy position has been taken. In certain aspects of the economy, in my work, in other aspects of the economy, from my experience, even in terms of maybe like a forecasting cycle and all of that, this is a country that even struggles to produce enough raw materials for its manufacturing industries and all that. I mean, I've had experience in FMCGs before, where you need even a 24-month forecasting cycle to know exactly where you're going to get your maize from, your whatever from, to be able to produce your Cerelac and all of that, right? And where you're getting your raw milk from to produce your milk. So when politicians sort of sometimes make some of these bold statements and without the, if you like, the hardcore technical acumen that comes with these things. Even though I also wear a political hat, I'm a bit
less
observancy. Less like observancy.
Very well.
In certain aspects of the economy, it makes sense. In other aspects of the economy, even you are even hindered by the exigencies of a demand and supply. So if you are producing over a 24-hour period and you are limited, you have a limited demand for that particular service. And you cannot do that. You understand? So I will not punch holes in the policy right now, but I need to see the key indicators so that at least maybe 6 months down the line, we can do a proper analysis.
So, like 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, why 1 minute?
I beg you, our time is up.
So I think that I would want to side with Eric. That it's early days here. I mean, beyond what we were entertained with was the politics. I mean, the political, I will do it, you can't do it, I will do it, we are already doing it, which we saw during the election, the campaign period. But we've moved away from that to, I mean, the proper work on the ground. Now, I would have expected that before we got here, I mean, the secretariat and then the private sector had a meeting. Okay, everybody comes on board so that we tease out, the fine, the chaff from the, we take the grain from the chaff. I'm saying this because most often you have a situation where the politicians will just talk, but then there's no interconnectivity between them and the private sector. You get it? That has been the issue with ECOWAS, where we call it the Economic Community of West Africa States. But they are more political, than
economical.
And then you have others in the other, what you call it, the other communities, like Comesa, like which other one? There's Arab. Sadat, all those other ones in Eastern Africa and then even the Arab Africa.
Way more politics than economics.
They're more economics than politics. Strictly, and
directly opposite our ECOWAS.
Our ECOWAS, okay. And then also you go outside the continent to let's say Europe. You have the European Union, and the European Union is strictly business. It's strictly business. The only time you see them talking politics is where, Russia, Ukraine, or
Israel,
Iran. But European Union has always been business.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time this morning. This has been the News Review segment here on Breakfast Daily. Don't go away. The show continues after this.
From the latest in mobile technology and must-have appliances, Franco has everything you need. Are you looking for a smartphone like iPhone, Samsung, HMD? From cases to protectors, our wide range of accessories add style to your tech. Upgrade yourself with quality and affordable home appliances that makes life easier and comfortable, like speakers, refrigerators, TVs from 32 inches to 100 inches, air conditioners from 1.5 horsepower to 2.5 horsepower, washing machine, and many more. Get yourself the latest laptop which gives you the high-definition video and long-lasting batteries. Get yourself our CCTV camera which will give you a high reliability that you need for your home. Find everything you need under one roof with Franco. Franco, the home of quality mobile phones, accessories, and your home appliances.
Where politics meets power, where the tough questions are asked, welcome to Face to Face. Every Tuesday at 9 p.m., join Umaru Sanda Amadou as he takes you face to face with the key players shaping the future of our nation.
I lost over $10 million at the trade fair.
You had a fight with the management of trade fair?
I don't have a fight with them. I just deplore the way they went about what they did.
Let's talk about the chief prosecutor of the state at the time that you were being prosecuted, Godfrey Yeboah-Dame, the Attorney General.
Yes. I think he was directed to jail us.
By who?
By the system.
Boko has been a failure for your government, though.
Can't be a failure.
You have not solved it.
No, you are not praising them, the previous government for solving Yende, which was even a more difficult case.
It's quite obvious that from these votes, the people felt that let's just let you go.
So they were disappointed
in us.
You are essentially the worst government in the Fourth Republic.
I don't know how you are doing that. Based on the indicators.
Yes, based on the number of people who refuse to come and vote for you.
If that is your analysis, then why not?
No filter, no boundaries, just the truth behind the headlines. Deep, bold, and unflinching. Face to Face with Umaru Sanda Amadou airs on Tuesdays at 9 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV, where politics gets real.
Let's get into the world of sports like never before.
You know how we do it on Fridays.
Join us every Friday at 7 p.m. on 97.3 Citi FM for Sports Panorama, your ultimate destination for all things sports.
One of the biggest scandals in this country's history. You can't spend 250 million USD and come out with that.
From the thrill of association football to the excitement of basketball, tennis, athletics, and even emerging sports, we cover it all. Whether it's the Premier League or the latest NBA showdown, we bring you the stories behind the stars.
Getting an opportunity to become a national team coach, you should understand the politics around football.
And don't miss the prayer of the rabbi.
Joe was Zebaut. How Zebaut there? Zebaut won Chaboke.
We're not just about the games, we're about the community.
If you are going to be given this kind of treatment, then you need to be that guy. When I look at him play, he is not it.
Or when it's time for Don't Call Me.
Join
the conversation as we connect with fans across the country and beyond. Want the latest updates? Send us your thoughts and we'll feature your comments live on air. And remember, we like to hear your predictions for matches and your thoughts in general. Think you know who's going to win? Let us know.
Big shout outs to my YouTube people.
Tune in every Friday at 7 p.m. only on 97.3 Citi FM. Sports Panorama, where sports come alive. Sports Panorama, your weekly sports fix. Don't miss out on the action. Sports Panorama, catch the excitement every Friday. When the stars come out, Ghana Weekend turns up the lights. From the hottest red carpet moments to the wildest after parties. And for all your celebrations, anniversaries, and unforgettable moments, if it's happening, we're there. First, fast, and fabulously. Your front row pass to Ghana's A-list lifestyle is just a click or a channel away. GhanaWeekend.com and Ghana Weekend TV, where fame meets the fans. Promote your next big event with us, because when you party with the stars, the whole nation of Black Stars should know. Visit GhanaWeekend.com, watch and subscribe to Ghana Weekend TV on YouTube. Stay connected with us across all platforms. Follow us on Instagram with the handle at GhanaWeekend.com, on X at Ghana Weekend, on TikTok, Ghana Weekend, and on Facebook at Ghana Weekend. Join the Ghana Weekend family today. Ghana Weekend, all access, all glam, all yours.
In a world filled with challenges, we all need guidance, hope, and a lifeline to anchor us.
This is Lifeline, and I'm your host, Fred Crunchy Mensa.
From social issues, relationship challenges, and family matters, Lifeline is here to inspire, uplift, and guide you on your journey.
Where we give you support, where we hold your hand through the valley and through the thick and thins of life.
Join Bishop Fred Crunchy Mensa.
I welcome you especially to Lifeline.
Every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 p.m. right here on Channel 1 TV. Let's walk this path together, strengthen our faith, our families, and our lives. Lifeline, because every soul deserves a guiding light. Tune in to Lifeline on Channel 1 TV and let's grow together. Curious about what's happening beyond your borders? Beyond Borders takes you there. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m., join Caleb Kudo as he explores the stories that shape our world, connecting you with Ghanaians in other cultures and seeing the world through their eyes.
So we've learned one thing: you leave your shoes outside.
Wow. Tuesdays,
yeah.
you know, I won't go to Ghana dressed in a Lacoste. I would
as director of operations.
From international politics to the human stories that define nations, Beyond Borders brings you a fresh perspective of Ghanaians around the world, one conversation at a time. Beyond Borders with Caleb Kuda airs Wednesdays at 7 p.m. only on Channel 1 TV.
The gentleman who is joining me today, I like to describe him as a true black star. He's a master sergeant of the U.S. Army, currently stationed in Korea, Mr. Samuel Amatiama, Master Sergeant Samuel Amatiama. Hello, let me give you the respect, soldier.
Wow, thank you. I like that.
So that's like half a tin.
No, let's add it in here some more. We're trying to make it rich because I know you're classy. You got to be rich. So based on that, we're going to add. Now I'm going to add something called the apple. Where's my apple juice? Right here. Why do I add the apple juice? Just to give it that apple flavor. I'm going to give you $100 bill.
Okay.
Hold on to that.
Okay.
This is going to happen. Anybody in the comments on social media, do you think it's going to be good with hair with the blue hair or the red hair? Those who want blue hair, just type in blue in the comments. Those who want the red hair, type in red in the comments. We're going to see who the winner is, and then you're going to choose one person yourself to come for the $100 bill. So we have the oil, just in case the butter doesn't work out, we use the oil, okay?
Okay.
Is it hot now?
Yeah, it's hot.
Okay. So I'm going to put a bit of the butter in there. Oh, good.
Okay.
Perfect. Could we swivel it around a little bit, not too much? In there, and it becomes more,
it works.
Easily accessible to all. Get some jollof.
No, I trust you, and we'll use tasty. Oh my goodness! Just when I thought you weren't going to come today.
Why wouldn't you want me to come?
Because you come and eat all my food. This is one of my favorite things, and then you're coming to eat it.
What's Cooking is brought to you by Tasty Tom, Kivo Pepper, and Lily Rice.
And many thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Daily. Of course, as the second half of the Republic Day edition of Breakfast Daily here on Channel 1 TV. And we are excited that we have you joining us on this platform. I am Philip Nilate.
And my name is Jifa KD Akoto. Thank you for joining us. Now, this morning, here's what to expect on the show. We'll start off with what's trending, and then BKB, the poets, will be giving you some very, very interesting recitals that I'm not sure you want to miss. Later on, we'll be coming into a community near you. And of course, Amnesty International is up to something. We get to find that out right here on the show. It's a super packed show this morning. So from now until the hour of 11 a.m., do stay with us as we fill you in on what's happening in the world.
And I'm sure that you know that all too soon we've come to the end of Citi Business Festival.
Yes, it is. It is 1st July.
Yes.
Technically, we are in the second part of the year, second half of the year. It's like when you are playing football full time.
Yeah.
You've played the first half time.
Yeah, you are done with the first half.
So
now
we are
going
playing
to
the second.
But I think 2025 is running too fast.
So fast.
I
Philip.
keep saying this, and
So fast.
maybe it's because the year is fully packed. So you tend to just know that maybe you're not done with this or you're not done with that. You have to do this, you have to do that. Yes, and it looks like the year is moving very, very fast. But all too soon, we are in the 7th month, and today happens to be the first day of the 7th month. This is my birthday month, though.
Exactly.
Yes. And you know, prestigious people were born this month. So we want to thank you and thank you and thank you officially for being with us through the entire period, the Citi Breakfast Business Festival period, and to all our sponsors, partners, viewers and listeners for making the Citi Business Festival 2025 a success. And you know, the sponsors, we can't go away without thanking you, APSA, MTN, Zonda, Tech Ghana Limited. Of course, it's powered by Channel 1 TV and also supported by Citi 97.3 FM. So we are grateful. Hopefully next year, 2026, we're bringing you a lot more exciting things in the month of June, which will be the Citi Business Festival month.
Right, Philip, just wrapping up on that, let's get into the trends. As always, there's lots...
Of course, we can't go without talking about the volunteer TV thing.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the volunteer TV show, I'm sure that we spoke to you about it yesterday, but we are reminding you today too, because it's happening live on your screens on Channel 1 TV every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. and it's something you wouldn't want to miss. You know, this program definitely is to uncover powerful stories of service, sacrifice, and hope. And of course, we need volunteers in our day-to-day activities in our communities to ensure that what we are doing in these communities will go on well.
Philip, you know, technically today is supposed to be a holiday because today is 1st July and it happens to be Republic Day as well as National Prayer and Thanksgiving Day. So it's supposed to be a holiday, but thanks to President John Dramani Mahama, he says he has pushed the holiday to Friday so we get to have a long weekend. So come Friday is a holiday.
So it was actually pushed in Parliament. I think he has assented to it. So holidays within the week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday goes to Friday. And holidays that follow over on the weekend Saturday, Sunday goes to Monday.
On Monday.
Yes.
So if a holiday
except for religious holidays.
Right. Yes. Right. So we get to celebrate. We are commemorating the day today, but you get to take the holiday on Friday. So those of you who had plans to stay at home today, don't worry. You're going to have a long weekend because after Thursday, there'll be no work. You get to spend your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then resume work on Monday like nothing happened. So yes, happy holiday or happy Republic Day, as well as happy National Prayer and Thanksgiving Day to all of us. This is just a time for us to reflect on how far we've come as a country, what we've been able to achieve all these years, and then, of course, thank God and ask for more. Oliver Twist. We
can asking for more.
Exactly. So yeah, that's about that.
So with the National Prayer and Thanksgiving Day, I know it's starting at 8 p.m., which has already started for the Christian prayers, and at 12:30 we'll be at the Ghana National Mosque, I think at Kanda, to do the Islamic prayers. But some messages, Franklin Kojo tweeted this morning, and he said that Happy Republic Holiday today marks a reminder of our sovereignty, self-governance, and enduring pursuit of justice and accountability. As it also declared a National Day of Prayer, we reflect, unite, and commit to building a better Ghana. And it's, of course, a better Ghana that we all hope to have in this country.
Of course, speaking of a better Ghana, data prices are supposed to be officially reduced today, starting today, as Sam George said, the Minister of Communications.
You know, Sam George was like, you hold on, I'm working.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think he's been able to deliver.
Yes, I'm happy about that. But then there's also the conversation of terrible networks, because if you have data prices being reduced and the network is not good enough for you to browse, then to what end? But we are looking forward that the conditions also get better and the network issues are fixed, just as this has been fixed, because he gave the telcos an ultimatum till December. If nothing is being done about it, they'll face his wrath. So we are hoping that as he's been able to do this one or come through on this reduction of prices when it comes to data, he will do that as well. But Philip, how much are you spending on data now if you are going to go by the new pricing?
Well, by the new pricing, I'm trying to check so that I can give you, okay, so there's a 10% increase in all data bundles. MTN increases to 15%, you understand? So 236 gig of data now goes for 400 Ghana cedis, which was previously 188 gig if you buy the 400 cedis package.
Right.
Then when you move to Telecel, it's 250 gig for 400 Ghana cedis, which was previously 190 Ghana cedis. And I think the 399 for MTN is now giving you a package of 214 gig, which was, I think, initially about 19 gig or something. Yeah, so that is what Sam George has been able to push the telcos to do. But you know what? Sam George made a tweet here.
Yes,
I think.
just 4 minutes ago, Yes,
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay, so read that for us.
He has just made a tweet 4 minutes ago. He says the hashtag Better Data Initiative has taken off at midnight today to general success. We have, however, noticed a challenge on the MTN Ghana systems. The NCA Ghana is working actively within them to remedy the situation. A formal statement will be issued shortly, but I understand all systems will be restored by noon. Kindly share any challenges with the NCA Ghana through their official channels. So that's it by the Minister of Communications. So if you have any challenges regarding the data pricing and all of that, just go onto Twitter and then share what you have with the NCA's official Twitter account, and probably even you can even tag him as well. So there you have it, some of the data prices as from MTN, the reduction or what you are going to get when you purchase data from today onwards. We hope that this is going
trying to access MTN's bundle codes, that is *3138#.
Yeah.
They're saying that, sorry, this service is being upgraded. Kindly try again at 12 p.m. So maybe after 12 p.m. we'll see
I
what
think
is
that
really
was
good
what
to,
the tweet is about.
Yeah.
That's why he says if they are trying to work on it. So if you have any challenges, just do make sure that you post it on social media and then tag the NCA's official Twitter handle or even MTN as well.
Rightly so. So I'm still continuing with the trends. Let's do a quick of football news. And you know, we are still with the Club World Cup. Yesterday, Al Hilal, if I got the name right, tormented Manchester City. People, all the Manchester City guys are like, they are shocked. They said Al Hilal eliminated Manchester City from the FIFA Club World Cup, and it was a 3-4. Manchester City scoring 3 and Al Hilal scoring 4. So I think it wasn't looking good for Manchester City yesterday, and it looks like the investors from the Manchester City side, they are all not excited. But of course, we will wait for what happens.
The investments have gone to waste,
as the entire Club World Cup proceeds. But now let's listen to something from.
Of course, BKB is.
I think we have a video of the day.
Right, so
Really?
if our producer's already with the video of the day, let's take a look at that, and then we go and take a listen to some good poetry recital from BKB. Yes, BKB the poet.
na Ghana fuadi agura yechi adeachi na Ghana fuadi agura yechi adeachi na Ghana fuadi agura yechi.
No, Philip, what's going on there?
Well,
they are transporting a taxi on a tricycle.
I know a country where Saboba transports everything.
Ghana,
and that is Ghana. Anyway, today is Republic Day. We know that everything is possible in this country. Right?
When you thought you had seen it all, then you get another shocker of your life. Why are we headed like this?
Oh, but maybe the person didn't have money for a
tricycle?
Saboba.
I'm so shocked. Anyway, that's the video of the day for you this morning. So BKB is on standby. BKB, let's hear you.
End of others, a child is not allowed to name names or call titles. List a Mrs. Sam and be told he had a bad education. I am the wounded lion rolling the forest for Sankofa, son of destiny and Onyang Corrupion. BKB Nation, the preaching poet. You see, I was taught this in school. I was taught A is for apple, B is for ball. But what they didn't taught me is that A is for anxiety and B is for battles. I was not taught how to overcome the anxieties, how to be able to endure the battles. I was not taught this in school. My math teacher taught me how to find X, but never to be able to make it. I was taught that triangle has 3 sizes, but the teacher never taught me how to find myself. Perhaps there needs to be a change in the education system. I was taught how to navigate in life by the street and not in the school. I was told the school taught us everything, but when you fail, they say you are not needed. When you don't pass the test, when you don't pass the BC, the WASI, and when you don't have the first degree or you don't have the diploma, they said you are not needed. But what if I fail and I rise, I learn a lesson? I might fail, but what is needed is that I'm able to rise at a gathering of others. A child is not allowed to name names or call titles, list the Mrs. Sam, and be told he had a bad education. So, who are you? Who are you? Ask yourself these questions. Who are you? I am a beautifully made. I am the pleasures of God, made for a purpose, born to endure and fulfill my assignment. My mistake does not define me. My fall does not limit me. I am carefully made. The pleasures of God, the craftsman made me well. I was in the womb of my mother for 9 months preparing me. So I am not just human. I am carefully made. That is who I am. That is who I am. So your word does not define me, even though it breaks me, yet it does not limit me. My past does not limit me, for my future tells where I am going. This is who I am. This is who I am. But then I ask again, who are you? Who are we? We are just nothing. Just nothing. A breath within us and feel empty. That is who we are. So why this pride and arrogance? We are nothing. We are nothing. We are like cylinder. Without gas, it is empty. But with gas, it is really important. That is who we are. We are empty. We are nothing. We are full of oxygen, hydrogen, H2O. That is who we are. So why this pride, these burdens, why this arrogance, why this hatred for a brother man? Who are we? We are nothing, just clay. That is who we are. We are just clay, moving on this earth. We're just a flipping, we are gone. We are here for a while, mourn for a while, and we'll be gone forever. This is who we are. We are just living on a borrowed time. So, live by purpose and make sure that you love humanity and have a constant relationship with the divinity. Above all, make sure you fulfill purpose, for we are nothing. We are just clay. Nothing, nothing, nothing. So this pride, this arrogance won't take us anywhere. We are nothing. We are nothing. So when you make it in life, when a brother helps you, try to say thank you. And if you miss it, be bold enough to say I am sorry. For we are nothing, just living on this earth. Time passing by, the clock is ticking. We are here for a while and be gone forever. We are here on a temporal mood, and when the day comes, we are leaving. We are just like a manufactured product. When the expiry comes, we are not needed again. That is who we are. That is who we are. Have a constant relationship with your brother, with your sister. Let the hatred depart from us and let's make an impact. That is who we are. We are nothing. Just clay, hydrogen, oxygen, H2O. That is who we are. Love a brother man. I am the wounded lion rolling the forest for Sankofa, son of destiny and Onyankropon, BKB nation. I say, boys' lives matter. Boys' lives matter. The boy child. What does it mean to be a man? His question asked since time began. Is it strength, might, or is it more insight? A man's heart beats so strong and deep, with emotions often left to sleep. Society burdens a heavy weight. To hesitate, to conform. This is the burden of the man. So the boy child was taught that now man you be. You can't fold. You have to be bold. This be what I was told when I was growing up. I can't cry for real men don't cry. So even though I feel the pains, I fear to share my tears. Because I'm shy, I'll be laughed because I share tears. Because I was told real men don't cry. I was told I'm not supposed to waste time. But what's important to waste if time isn't my friend? I am human. I keep hearing this in my head. I keep hearing this in my head. These statements keep ringing in my mind. Now man you be. Now man you be. Now man I be. I can't fold. I can't fold. I can't fold. Hey man, it is okay to cry. It is okay to voice out. You are human, not a commodity. So I say, boys, lives matter. I am the wounded lion rolling the forest for Sankofa, son of destiny and Onyankropon, BKB nation, the preaching poet. Thank you.
Oh, wow. So you are a preaching poet?
Yes, please.
Wow. BKB nation. Why BKB nation?
BKB nation because I have bright and I'm Kokweku. So I decided to have a name in this craft that I'm doing. So, and I believe I'm a nation, I have deep things within me. So I added my name and I added the nation to it. Oh. So BKB nation. So Brother Kweku Bright.
And for how long have you been a poet?
For the past 6-7 years.
6-7 years.
Yes,
so everything you say, you write it yourself,
yes,
or it's been written for
everything you? Is done by me. I pen down everything.
I see some poets doing this, but they have a script with them, sort of they are reading from the script and all that. But it's like you are doing this thing extempo.
Yeah.
You've someone will say you've chew baba all the things you are saying.
Oh, now is it? I pen down everything myself. So me looking to the script or saying is the same thing. And I do rehearsals before I come on stage. I want to be that unique guy that I don't have to look on script. I want to be different in the poetry fraternity. So I want to be unique. That's why I make sure that I learn. And sometimes when I'm on stage performing, even though I miss some lines, I try to cover them so that I'm not that perfect though, but I'm still trying.
But why did you toe the line of preaching? There are other ways you could. There are a lot of things you could do with poet.
Yeah.
But why the line of preaching?
As I said, that I want to be unique. So I feel that everything that I'm saying, I am preaching to the world through poetry. So I want the world to know that this is what I'm saying, but I want it to be in the form of me preaching to the world, me telling the world this is what poetry is about, but in the form of preaching. Yes, please. Yes, please.
And you've been doing this for 6 years. Is that something you started in school, or maybe you were out of school and you just were like, oh, this is what I want to do?
I started in school. I think my literature teacher, Mr. Odewale Godfred, yeah, I was having that desire for, but I didn't know how to go by it. So he called me and pointed out one or two things to me that I need to know. Then I started from school. Yeah.
Secondary school?
Yes, please.
Which school?
Please. I sing Sultan Senior High School.
And you took it to university or?
Yeah, to university, yeah.
So what course did you read in university?
I read journalism.
Journalism?
Yes, please. GIG.
You're not practicing?
Oh, I'm practicing. I'm more of writing.
Writing.
Yeah, so I do volunteer for Modern Ghana.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
so BKB, where do you see yourself in the next 3 years or 5 years from now with this poet thing you are doing? Is this something you want to do full time or you are doing just part time?
Yeah, I'm doing full time. I see myself that I am taking Ghana to the different, to outside the world, telling the people about the boy child, telling the people about who they are. They need to know who they are. And they also need to know that they are just here for a while they'll be living, so they should fulfill purpose. And also the boy child is needed. So they shouldn't only focus on the girl child, they should also focus on the boy child also.
So if someone gets in touch with you with a theme of an event, are you able to craft your own poet out of the theme for the event?
Yes, please. Always. Okay. I've released a poem on Saturday. My album, The Bag, it includes 15 pieces, 15 poems on 28th of June, just this Saturday on my birthday. So I feel like that is what I want to. That's what I want to communicate to the world. And also, I'm available for any event. When you bring your event, I look at it. I'm able to draft something for that event, to suit that event.
Of course, we need poets at a lot of events. They bring some sort of style to the entire event. But you can put your details out there, contact details and all that, if someone wants to get in touch to you for that special event.
Okay, handles. On Audio Mark is BKB Nation. Please, I have released my poem album, the first ever, 15 pieces, The Bag. So I want you to go and listen to it, and God bless. And also I featured many artists, gospel artists on Audio Mark, or Saboba Junior, so you can also listen to them and you'll be blessed. Thank you for listening to me.
So that is a BKB Nation for you. You can actually put him on your event and see how special it's going to be, because it's actually one of individuals in the country who is pushing poet very hard, and also nationwide, and let's say globally. But let's bring you another thing on at this show before maybe we have more discussion on several issues within this country. We are taking you to a community that is Saboba, and we are bringing you what is happening at Saboba Senior High School. Take a look at this report after we have a conversation on that.
In January this year, a tragic fire outbreak at Saboba EP Senior High School in the northern region completely destroyed the girls' dormitory block. The incident occurred whilst most students were in class. Suddenly, one student who was unwell and resting in the dormitory at the time could not escape and lost her life. The blaze consumed all personal belongings of the students. The school authorities relocated the affected girls to classrooms where they have since remained. Months on, these temporary arrangements have severely affected academic activities. The classrooms, now serving as sleeping quarters, are overcrowded and poorly ventilated, exposing students to mosquito bites and other health risks. Channel 1 News spoke to some of the affected students. They shared the challenges they face daily and called on well-meaning individuals and organizations to support their return to decent accommodation.
But we are still in classroom, and they are building our dormitory, and we are praying that God should be with us so that they will get us new hostels so that we will sleep on it. As we are here, we are sleeping, but still have disturbing us.
We have been suffering from how to learn because our classes, we have occupied the classes. And PTA, they are supporting us to build up a new dormitory for us. And now, they have built it to the level that we need support. So we need their support. If everybody has something to give us, we'll be grateful to welcome you.
Although the school's Parent-Teacher Association has started constructing a new dormitory, work has stalled due to lack of funds. The headmaster of the school also added his voice to the appeal. He acknowledged the effort of the PTA but emphasized the agency of the situation.
As of now, the dormitory has not yet been renovated. The PTA is doing everything possible to put up a new dormitory for the girls, but that has not been completed yet. The district assembly is also trying to renovate the place, but still the place is not yet renovated. So my girls are still using the classroom as a place, their sleeping place. So I'm still appealing for support from the public and anybody who can help us put out the place in order to enable the girls have a decent place for their use.
The Evangelical Presbyterian Church Ghana, which owns the school, has been instrumental in providing relief. The church has donated school uniforms, mattresses, sanitary pads, and textbooks to the affected girls. Additionally, it organized sensitization sessions on fire safety and teenage pregnancy. Speaking at one such event, the moderator of the church in the upper northern sector, Reverend Father Mausi Foster, highlighted the importance of education and safety for the girls.
There is need for a thorough education for our students to understand security issues, fire safety measures, and also their very life that has to do with pregnancies in the school. The essence is to educate our students. They should be very much aware and fully equipped for fire safety issues, so that in their dormitories, in their community as a school, they should know what to do when the time.
Right, so that is the plight of the students from Saboba Senior High School from about 7 months ago, and this report was filed by our colleague Mohammed Aminu M. Alabira, who is our Northern Regional Correspondent. Interestingly, 7 months down the line, and nothing has been done about the plight of these students. They have no other choice than to study in overcrowded classrooms or even under trees, as you saw in the report. But we are asking, why should it be so? Should this be the case? Is it that when things like these happen, there is no source of emergency, or we are too comfortable to say that let's leave it, we are going to investigate, Philip. We are going to launch an investigation to see what the cause of the fire is, how we can rebuild the institution for the girls to go back to having active classes. Meanwhile, we have the headmaster of the Saboba EP Senior High School on the line. He's in the person of Prosper Kofi Tedoku. Prosper, good morning. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hi, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Good morning. Your line is very faint. Could you please speak louder?
I'm being loud enough. Can you hear me?
I can hardly hear you.
You still can't hear?
Would you increase the volume of your phone, maybe, if that is where it's from?
So you still can't hear, I guess. Okay. Oh, faint. Okay.
Oh.
But let's manage how faint it is. We want to find out from you, 7 months after the incident happened, what has been the conversation to resolve the problem, and what is the current state of the school and the students as well, though we've seen it in the reports that just aired?
Yeah. In fact, the district assembly was here. We conducted a test on the building to find out if it's still strong so that they can renovate. They are working around the clock to involve the total project so that they can renovate the place. The MP of the area of Saboba, Honorable Nike, who is now the Minister for Transport, was also here. He informed me that he met the Minister for Education, and they are working around the clock to bring a girls' dormitory project, a new one, to the school. But with all this, it will take some time. So the PTA, in their own wisdom, started something similar to what has been done. But for now, they have reached the roofing level and they have run out of money. So as of now, the students are still using the classroom blocks as their dormitory, whilst we are looking forward for the renovation or the completion of what the PTA has started.
Right. When the duty bearers visited the school and told you that they were going to look into building a new classroom for you, did they give you timelines as to when the construction is going to take place?
Please, no, they haven't given me any time. It's just for this that they are working around the clock. They either renovate the place or bring a new block because there has been some congestion. So the minister promised that no, there's need for them to bring to decongest the place. So he's working around the clock. That's what he told me.
Right, but how long ago was this, and have you followed up to see what feedback is going to come from there?
Yeah, the incident happened on January 26th. The MP was here twice, and I've been in constant communication with him. He said we're still working around the clock. The district assembly is also giving the same permit. Then they say they want to solicit funds and social projects to be able to do that.
Now, the PTA has been able to do something which I would congratulate you for, but the project has come to a halt. You've gotten to the roofing level, now you're out of funds. How are you mobilizing funds to be able to make sure that you complete the building, to relocate the ladies or the girls inside, to start classes as well?
That was the exact reason why during a sensitization workshop that was done last week, sponsored by the Upper Northern Territory of the EPS, I made a passionate appeal to the public to actually come to the aid and help the PTA to complete the work on time so that I can relocate my girls back to the dormitory. So I'm using this medium again to appeal to anybody else who can help the PTA, because it looks like the PTA's work will be faster than any other work. So if we can help them to be able to complete on time, I'll be much useful.
But the question I want to find out from you is that how many ladies or students are affected by this problem?
304 students were affected. Those whose rooms got them directly are 66. As we were trying to salvage the other things, the other different rooms were also destroyed. So for now, 204 students are being displaced and currently in the classroom.
204?
Yes.
So they are sleeping in the classroom?
Yes, please.
Wow.
Anyway, I was also interested in finding out if you've been able to ascertain the cause of the fire, and if you have, what was the cause of the fire, as well as moving on, what preventive measures have you put in place to make sure that this does not repeat itself, or you are able to curb it when it happens?
As a matter of fact, that lies in the domain of the district fire officer who carry out the investigation. But so I cannot tell you exactly what their report is, but in order to curtail or avoid this kind of situations, that's why the board insisted that we run a workshop on fire safety, personal security in the school. So that workshop was run last week, Thursday, which was 26, to create awareness. And I also want to use this medium to thank the Center for National Culture Regional, Northern Region, who also came out with some drama and speech work to sensitize students on fire safety and other things. Thank them so much. So internally, we are creating the awareness, and should fire happen, what students are supposed to do and other things.
Speaking of what students are supposed to do, have there been any fire extinguishers installed at vantage points in the school? And has there been an education to the students how to operate them in case there's a fire outbreak? And also, have you reached out to the alumni of the school to see if they could come to your aid?
Yes, we have the fire hydrants in the school, just that they are not enough. But I would also like to thank the district fire officer of Saboba. He was here during the workshop last Thursday, we got the fire tender and youth men, and they demonstrated how we should use the hydrants, and then even how the fire service works in entirety. So they did very well. The students are now aware of what to do in case of any fire outbreak in the school. Then, for the question of the contacting the old students, yes, they were here. They donated about 10 bundles of roofing sheets and about 5 buckets of paint for the renovation of the place. They are also organizing themselves to see how best we can also help in rehabilitation of the place.
Okay, let me just ask you a final question, and then I'll give you the chance to make an appeal to the people watching and also listening to us this morning. Now, the building that was gutted by fire, has the structural integrity of the building been assessed to make sure that this building is safe enough for renovation before you even go ahead to do the renovation?
I think that is the main reason why the PTA also decided to look at something different. The district assembly asked the district engineer to come and assess the place. They were here to do the assessment, but as of now, they have not informed me whether the building is still strong enough for the renovational work to continue. But I'm yet to receive a report from them. But they are solely in charge of renovating the place. So I think that is the main reason why the PTA thinks they should no longer wait for them. That is why they decided to put up something differently from what has been done.
All right. This morning, people are watching you. Your alumni are watching. The EP Church, I'm sure some of the pastors as well as the elders are watching. Make an appeal. Call on Ghanaians to come to your aid, because we cannot watch the girls sleeping in the classrooms, which are not meant to be sleeping places or rooms to accommodate them. So make an appeal so that if somebody is watching and is touched to come to the aid of the school, they will do so, and then we find some help for the ladies.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. As I said earlier on, I extend my sincere appreciation to the EP Church and other donors who have been able to help us quick settle this, even during the classroom, by providing the necessary basic needs for this to the most grateful. Like Oliver Tweet, I'm appealing to the entire public that we still have our 204 of our students still sleeping in classrooms, which is not very conducive for any effective learning and teaching to go on in the school. So I'm appealing to the public that it should come to our aid. The PTA has started something. It's at the roofing level. So we need to complete the work. So I'm appealing to all and sundry to come to our aid by helping us to complete the building on time, so that we can relocate the students. And I'm also appealing to the government through the Minister of Education to speed up a request made by our MP for a new dormitory block, so that even if we complete this one, there is need for us to decongest the ladies. So that project will also come on time, so that things will come back to normality in the school.
All right, Mr. Toduku, thank you so much for speaking with us this morning, and we hope that help comes your way as soon as possible. We've been speaking to Prosper Kofi Teduku, who is the headmaster of the Saboba EP Senior High School, where fire gutted their girls' dormitory about 7 months ago. And 7 months down the line, the school is still in the state, even though the PTA has been able to put up a different structure to accommodate the ladies. But the project has come to a halt because they've run out of funds and they are not able to complete the project. So, Philip, there we have it. The minister has gone there to make a promise to them that he's working around the clock to make sure that help comes their way as soon as possible.
I think they should be fast about it so that the congestion would be eased, the problem will be eased, and also the students will be given a befitting place to lay their heads so that teaching and learning can go on. But that is in the north. Let's come down to the south, specifically in Cape Coast. I'm sure that in recent times you've heard that buildings are falling down, sort of collapsing, and it's killing people here and there. But in the Cape Coast area, it has witnessed the collapse of 2 more buildings that happened last week Thursday, increasing the total number of collapsed structure in the area to 6 within a week. The latest incident occurred on the 9th of Thursday, like I indicated earlier, June 26, which is a residential building at Brofoyedru in Central Cape Coast, caved in around 10 p.m. following a torrential downpour. Let's bring you this report by our correspondent, Akwesi. Later, we'll have a conversation on this particular problem.
The series of building collapses began on Saturday, June 21 in Central Cape Coast. Among the most significant was a well-known structure beside the historic London Bridge which caved in, killing 2 people and injuring 3 others. At Amisetree, another centuries-old house, believed to be over 200 years old, also collapsed. That incident resulted in 1 death and left another person critically injured, despite prior warnings from city officials who had begun identifying and demolishing structurally unsound buildings. So far, about 6 ancient buildings have collapsed, prompting authorities to take down 10 more to avert potential tragedies. The impact has been devastating, with many families displaced and emotionally shattered. Like London Bridge, Amisetree and Brofoyedru are known for their abundance of historical structures. Many of these buildings, constructed with laterite, wooden beams, and in some cases metal supports, date as far back as the 17th century. The now collapsed house near London Bridge, for instance, was built well before the bridge itself, which was constructed in 1905. Residents say the destruction of these buildings, whether by time or by force, is eroding cherished memories and an irreplaceable part of Cape Coast identity, as many generations were born and raised within their walls.
Now or whatsoever to intervene, so that at the end of the day we bring sanity to this metropolis. My responsibility as a mayor of Cape Coast is protect lives and property of our people within the metropolis.
The chief of Cape Coast, Osaberima Kwesiata, has backed the move to demolish the dangerously weak structures, but he has also voiced concern over the loss of heritage. He is advocating for a balanced approach that preserves historically significant buildings while ensuring public safety. Corrupion told Channel 1 News that efforts are underway to engage private stakeholders in rebuilding and restoring some of the affected structures in partnership with the families who once lived in them.
So we may, if they agree, we will negotiate with them for us to provide, a structure that will still have their accommodation and then.
Right. So that was a report filed by our Central Regional Correspondent, Akwesiado, from Cape Coast, bringing us up to speed with what is happening when it comes to the collapse of some of the buildings. But Philip, in the report, he mentioned that some of the buildings has been there since as far back as the 17th century.
And we are in the 21st century.
That's a long time.
Akwesi is on, joining us via Zoom. Akwesi, good morning. How are you, Akwesiado?
I'm fine. Hope you are too.
I'm doing good. With this particular development, when you visited the place, what exactly did the residents tell you? Is this something they had witnessed way back before the collapse started happening?
It appears to be that this is the first time residents are witnessing the collapse of buildings. For instance, the famous building which stood beside the London Bridge has been there for several years, and according to the residents I spoke to, they had no indication that that particular building was going to go down anytime soon. And so this comes as a surprise for residents in Cape Coast.
Okay, so were people living in the building before its collapse?
Yes, people were living in the buildings. So for the one that stood beside London Bridge, the Central Regional Minister, Corrupion, when he spoke to us, gave an indication that authorities had conducted a risk assessment on that particular building. And so they had advised its occupants to leave. And they were also counting on the affected family to bear part of the cost for the demolition. But the family wasn't able to, raise that figure. And so they were only waiting when the building collapsed. And sadly, it was tragic because it led to the death of some 2 persons and also left about 3 persons injured. Now, the one at Amnesty was also occupied by some persons, except to say that the particular building that collapsed led to the death of no other person. But it collapsed on another building which stood beside it. So it is there that an occupant, an aged woman, died as a result, and also left 1 person who is critically injured. The last time I checked on that person who was on admission, health officials or experts were waiting to transport him to Accra to access MRI equipment because the Cape Coast Station Hospital has none of that particular equipment to take care of him. And then at Brofuyedu, the building that collapsed, the recent one, also had people living in it. And let me say that these residents, even though the municipal assembly and then the NADMO has begun assessing buildings in the area and marked some for demolition, many residents feel reluctant about moving out of these particular buildings. And so even the one that collapsed at Brofuyedu, when I visited that house, we still had the occupants' belongings in those rooms. And when I spoke to them, they were telling me that they were not ready to move because 1, they've lived in the area or in that particular house for a very long time. And then 2, they do not even have the means to rent outside that particular area. And so it will take some sort of support from government to be able for them to afford rent.
Really?
Wow.
Interesting. Akwesi, you just stay there for us. Don't go off. Let's speak to a building and roads engineer, Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, who understands these things. Hello, engineer. Good morning.
Good morning.
I trust you're doing well.
All right, I'm fine.
Okay, good. I'm sure I'm doing good as well. I'm sure you've been following this story from Cape Coast. What will be your immediate reaction to what is happening there?
Well, I'll say a good morning to you and Jafar and by extension your viewers. I have granted some interviews relating to this unfortunate incident in Cape Coast, and I stated that it is actually dotted across the the coastal areas where we had this, let me say, the inception of colonization. So there are a lot of buildings in these colonial habitat areas which have traversed beyond 100 years. Some of these buildings are stone buildings. Others, unfortunately, may be mud buildings interspersed with some timber and bricks. And I've seen some of them which have undergone some renovations over the years, but not the way that as engineers would expect them to be. And so it is only expected that some of these buildings in these days and age, some of them will be coming down gradually because they have actually lived what we call the design lifespan of those structures. And for the people to be evacuated or to be moved out of their homes, it's going to be a bit sensitive. Some people have lived there about 50, 60 years per the interviews that I've heard on other stations. And there's that kind of heritage, let me say, their ancestral homes, so to speak. And so getting such people to live there and they are not actually prepared to have new settlements, it's going to be a very difficult thing for them. And so I've heard the mayor, I've heard the regional minister, and other well-meaning Ghanaians giving their side of the story as to how to get the issue resolved. But I think it's going to be a very difficult thing. Some of the buildings which are standing there aesthetically may be unpleasant to the sight, to eyesight. That's what we are aesthetically. But structurally they may be sound. So before government can go in and use any way or legal means to bring some of these buildings down because of potential danger or collapse or safety concerns to the residents and the neighboring community or every individual who might be passing there, the government has to engage. In fact, when you get to Cape Coast, we have the AESLs just at the Kedu Junction. And that's just at the police headquarters or whatever. And this AESL is a government institution who have the requisite expertise to go in and actually examine those buildings with a structural integrity analysis done on the suspected buildings. And when these informations are, when you get these findings that some of the buildings are structurally unsound, and then they may not be retrofitted, which means that they cannot be altered to improve their strength. I'm sure that the mayor and then the regional minister may stand on this, maybe go to court and then get some of these buildings pulled down. Otherwise, there will be a lot of legal issues or legal challenges that the mayor and then the regional minister will be confronted with. Just going to just randomly pull people's buildings down without any scientific basis.
But from what our correspondent said, some sort of work has been done. NADMO or the assembly has marked some of these buildings for demolition. But now, the occupants of these buildings are saying that we have nowhere to go and it can't be pulled down. But we're also seeing the collapse of these buildings. As an engineer and also being in the space for a very long time, ideally, how many years or what's the duration to maybe rework your building or maybe relocate from a particular building you've stayed in for a very long time?
For the first and foremost, we have to ask on what basis did NADMO do the marking on the buildings? Is it aesthetic? Otherwise, they will have to show a proof of structural integrity analysis as done. That's why in my preamble I said that some of the buildings may be aesthetically unpleasant, but some of them may be structurally sound. The one I'm just seeing on your TV obviously is something that might go. But before you do that, you have to preempt your mind or know that there may be legal issues after these buildings are pulled down. So you have to equip yourself with all the necessary requirements laid and in the built environment space, that before you pull a building down, in fact, unless the building has gone down on force majeure, but if the buildings are funding, even if you look at the building so dilapidated sometimes, unless it's beyond extreme, you may have to run these tests to be able to have a backing of a sound engineering report. And to do that, it's not individuals. Architecture Engineering Services Limited is a government institution situated in Cape Coast, just at Kedu Junction there. And they have to go in there and get this report so that when NADMO goes in to do this marking, it's backed by evidence that has been carried out. Secondly, buildings can go beyond 100 years. We have seen a lot of buildings, in fact, bridges, even bridges, some of the bridges that the Kulia Masters did. It's like the London Bridge, for instance, in Cape Coast, have actually played the place so well. It's almost like 100 years plus. I think it was 1925 or something like that. There are a lot of bridges you find across the country which were built in the colonial time, which have gone beyond 80 to 100 years. Buildings can also stay beyond 100 years, depending on the nature of external aggression. That is, the effect that the building might have suffered within the years that have passed. If you have a building structurally sound, and unfortunately for you, the building is sitting on a very weak soil, the building may start to give in because of what we call differential settlement of some of the columns. So these are just they are in ideal situations. They are not as a whole. You can't lump up so many houses and say because these buildings are put in this way, they'll go down in about 50 or 100 years. So they are isolated cases. But like I said, these buildings have to come down. I know some of them we can see by the side, but we need to have documents to be able to stand on. And then government, in this case, it becomes like a national concern. When NADMO comes in, these are individual homes, and there's some extreme poverty. You know, when it is being ranked across the years that we have known, it's that Cape Coast or Central Region is one of the poorest in the country. So by extension, some of those who are staying in these homes may be in that kind of bracket. So government has to get a plan B to say, okay, we want to relocate you from these your homes, okay? But they may be an affordable housing at the same location for you. Maybe if there are records of family members or who are outside or those who are within and they can be able to support, government will have to come in for the greater good of safety in order to reduce the extent of devastation. Government may now cough out some money to help the people somewhere along the line. But if you start this one, it will trigger across the country, like I said, because these buildings are dotted across, especially the coastal belt, or where we had domination of these colonial masters when they came in. And some other buildings. In fact, the last building that collapsed in Cape Coast was last week. So that one was under construction. That is supposed to go to the assembly. Let's find out from the assembly. Was that building given a permit for the construction? Did they meet the laid down requirements as enshrined by the National Building Regulation LI 2465? Because it can't be that the building will be under construction and the building will come down unless there was an extreme flood that actually, went across that land and maybe it caused extensive erosion underneath the structure that brought about some sections of the building collapsing. But if it's a wholesale structure which has come down, I'm yet to get that information about that particular building. But that will go to the assembly. So the mayor would have to turn his attention to the assembly and get information about whether the last building, which was actually under construction, was given the appropriate permit before the construction started.
Engineer Mahama, so I was just wondering, from where you sit as a building consultant, do Ghanaians even take your services seriously to hire you to consult on how to construct safe homes or even safer buildings before they go ahead to do it? How often do these things come to you?
Well, I get people coming in every now and then, maybe because of the extent of, let me say, how I become a bit visible to the media and other professional engineers that I've seen across. There are a lot of buildings. I may not have the exact percentage, but I may see that going along or across the country, more than 60 to 70% of our buildings do not go through the architects, to the structural engineers, or the draftsmen before they are put up. In fact, when you go across, let me say, Accra proper, Oyarifa, Abokobi, and Sawam, Dobro, Amasaman, Kaswa area, because of maybe me dominating that area, I'll see a lot of structures that sometimes when I see the potential danger, I go in either to, when I'm likely to get the client, I push them and I tell them that maybe A, B, and C is not being done right. So kindly go in and get your documents. I mean, our certified engineers to at least check the structural, the viability of your building before it's constructed. A lot of the masons, a lot of the carpenters, a lot of those foremen who have done some buildings before think that because they have done some construction for like 5-10 years, they can just continue to pro rata. But unfortunately, the soil of every building is different. I may have my house at Channel 1 TV. The next 3 buildings are from Channel 1 TV. The soil may be different. Yours may be on what we call the quartzite rock or a granular material. Mine may be on a swampy area where I need to do what we call ground improvement to have a ground beam, so that when my building, one of my columns out of maybe 20 is supposed to settle because that place is soft. Because I've introduced a ground beam under the building, the other beams will prevent one of the columns from going down, which means that it will certainly make my building stand. But these are not information that a foreman, a mason may have, even though they are given drawings to do the construction. So we think we just have to use this opportunity, this window, to tell Ghanaians who are putting up their structures, because people are using half of their years, their working years savings to put up a building. But a penchant of people just ignoring the built environment experts and going to do their own thing, and later on falling on these engineers to now come and remedy the situation. It becomes cost ineffective. In fact, they lose more in sometimes remedying the situation than engaging the engineers or the professionals in the built environment to get their foundations or their designs properly done from day one.
I'd also like to find out about structural assessments. How often are these done in Ghana, and do they even happen at all?
They happen.
Right.
Mostly you get institutions or expected investors. They are the ones that I can say that they fall on us every now and then. So maybe they are going to, let's say, Jolu. Somebody is going to buy an abandoned building in Jolu for a new project. But the building is okay. They want to just expand it. So they will follow you, and then they will come and do the structural integrity analysis for them, and then give them, okay, with this building, maybe with X, Y, Z retrofitting, the building can stand for maybe another 50, 60 years. So what I know is that most of the institutions, especially the private ones, or the investors who come to do purchase of existing buildings, they fall on us for some of these things to be done, because they know that they are coming to actually sink in a lot of money to get these structures to function for them. But a lot of the individuals, somebody just goes in, do some painting, and they renovate the house. The windows are changed from the old louvers, you change into glasses, and then some nice painting is done on the building, and voila, the buildings are habited by individuals. And then when the effects start showing, then the panic sets in. And that is what we have to do as a country. I have come across a lot of the investors who have come into the country and then fallen on us to get their structures that they are going to buy tested, giving documentation to prove about the fact that they are structurally sound. And then they before sometimes they go into to do the negotiation to even purchase those buildings. They don't just even buy the buildings before they do the negotiation. No, they will start with engineers to come and have a look at the building, look at how sound it is, before they go in to do the negotiation for the purchases of such structures.
Okay, so for individual homeowners like Philip and I, how often should we access our home or the structural integrity of our homes? Maybe should it be like a 2-3 year thing, 5 years interval, 10? How often should that be done?
Oh, no. You see, sometimes from day one, when you have actually engaged the certified engineer to do a proper building for you, you may not do the structural integrity of a structure sitting in a very ideal area.
Right.
For 20 years plus, you don't have to do that. But unless you see some, there we have some things that we see when I come and see a diagonal crack on a building from the window or from the ceiling. So we have a way of getting those things. So when an individual observes that they are seeing some cracks other than the ordinary, sometimes you might do plastering of a building, and the plastering, because the sand you are using may have a higher percentage of clay in it. When it is shrinking during the dry season, and then when it's wet during the wet season, depending on the time, if it's the dry season, you see that because the clay content is now shrinking, you may have this alligator cracks on the building, like those sectional ones. Those are not actually structural cracks. But when I come and see some cracks from your window to the angle to the ceiling, which are becoming like you plaster them, they will appear again. Just like what happened at the Melcom disaster in 2012. So when you see some of these repetitive cracks on your buildings, then it means that you have to call an expert to come and have a look at it. Otherwise, some of these domestic houses, like one story, or you don't mostly get some of these issues. But as for Philip, I'm going to charge him because he knows it.
Don't worry, he will pay.
You know, before we let you go, you made mention of the fact that this could be seen along the coast in the country. So now, what will you say that the government must do using the Cape Coast situation as the case study for other areas along the coast in the country?
It was just good you brought this question, but I just remember something. I'm thinking, I don't have the information yet, but could it be that we are having a minor structural, earth tremors? Maybe we may have some earth tremors. Those are the minor earthquakes that you may not feel it, but because the structures are overly weak, let me say they are 90th percentile in terms of deterioration. They are 90th percentile. Maybe those few earth tremors may trigger some of these things. In fact, on records, I stated about 7 years or 6 years ago that a lot of the buildings right from Accra through Flagstaff out to the Bema Camp area to airport and beyond were sitting on some earth lines, earthquake lines, fault lines. And one very senior most man called me. Unfortunately for him, when I went to his site to address the issue, that building was pulled down when it was under construction. And then redone. He's a very famous man, he's a very prominent person in this country, but at least he has not given the permission to. So we may have some buildings. I don't know about the earthquake or history of Cape Coast, but I know from Nyanyano coming towards Accra through Judicial Lodge all the way to like Cameroon, on that mountainous area has that kind of tremors. That you may not feel it when you are not in your room.
Okay.
But we may. Let's find out. I may do my search after this interview with the Central Region and find out whether we have recorded any minor earth tremors within the past 1 or 2 months.
Okay.
And those might also trigger. And then, like extension, what we have in the Western region, government should now be proactive for what has happened in Cape Coast. Some president, like 5 buildings happening in about a week or so. Let's look at what is in the Western region. The mayor of the Takoradi area and then the minister should also start to look at that there are so many poor buildings like similar to Cape Coast in Takoradi along the coast area that we start to do the structural integrity analysis. AESL is in Takoradi as well. And these are government institutions that maybe government should look for some lump sum, some budget, and then look at those areas so that we don't get anybody dying in Western region or another one in Cape Coast. You might be killing a president in the future.
Yeah,
you might be killing Philip Onjina Mahama in the future. Those young guys and young boys who may be there. So we have to look at those and then get it done. In fact, apart from that, some of the buildings which are under construction, we shouldn't say that because the new buildings are under construction, they are not also likely to fall down. They collapse, just like what happened in Cape Coast. One of them collapsed. We have a lot of buildings sitting in our country here under construction, which have not gone for the permit because they are avoiding less than a 1% of fee of permit. Yet they would lose more than 40% of the cost of their building when they neglect these processes and they neglect the artisans or the built environment experts to adequately provide them with the required design. Okay. One of the buildings that happened at Abokubi area, when we went to check the building, the structural integrity of the building, we told the gentleman that this building had to come down. He was on the 3rd floor. Luckily, when we got there, we have to evacuate the because I told my colleagues that we cannot be under the building to do those things because when we were there, any type of truck passing along the area, the building was vibrating.
Okay. Wow. So that means we have a long way to go. But engineer, we will let you go here. We will have a conversation with you again. We've been having a lot of conversation on buildings that are collapsing and all that. I'm sure the authorities will hit to your call that you've made. Engineer Abdullahi Mahama, we are grateful for your time. He's a road and building engineer consultant. But Akwesi Ado is still on the line. Akwesi, sorry for keeping you longer on the line. But what I want to find out from you is that what has the mayor or the central regional minister said concerning the individuals whose buildings have been sort of demolished? Are they being moved to another place? What is the plan for them?
Okay, so the arrangement that has been made is for the affected victims to be sheltered in the Anafo market. This market was constructed recently, but it's not been commissioned yet. So for the meantime, that is where the victims will be sheltered until, according to the mayor, they find more befitting places for them. And so the mayor says they are putting in place measures to look for places for these persons. But for the meantime, that is where they would be sheltered. And let me mention that the chief of Cape Coast, Wasabari Makwesiata, has also mentioned, and he's actually called on all the affected persons to, not hesitate, but move out of their buildings so that there would not be the record of any loss of life, because we've lost 3 persons already, and about 5 persons have also been injured. And so the chief was very categorical. And even apart from these buildings that are collapsing, that are old and collapsing, there are some persons who are also putting up their buildings on waterways. And so the chief has instructed the regional minister to take rigorous action against such persons, just so we can be able to mitigate some of these disasters here in Cape Coast.
Well, Akwesi, thank you so much for your time, and keep monitoring events for us there in Cape Coast. We brought you the story of what is happening in Cape Coast in recent times, following the collapse of buildings, structural integrity and all that. Akwesi also stated that some buildings have been the 17th century. Engineer Mahama has also said his, asking that the authorities should do the needful, don't just go down or go there demolishing buildings, but the right thing has to be done to prevent any court case or anything of that sort. And we also have to take it and make it a point to engage the services of qualified people,
engineers,
the engineers, so that they will at least look at the kind of buildings we are putting up. Because if you are putting up a building, you are like, you want the cheap side, definitely you get the cheap side, but it's going to cost you a lot more in the near future. So I think the best thing should be done. But from what Engineer Abdullahi Mahama said, this is something that he's pointing out along the coast, because these buildings have been there for a very long time. And I know some of these buildings were really built well. When you go to Asha Fort or when you go to Jamestown, you see buildings like that, like the bricks, red bricks and all that. It's very robust. But like he indicated, some sort of...
It could also be a situation of the climate around the coast. You know, it's very moist over there. And even most times when you live in such areas and you have lots of metallic things in your home, it gets to corrode, and because of the moisture in the area. So that could also be a contributing factor. But I hope that the people of Cape Coast get some help, the displaced persons get some help as soon as possible.
And they should find alternative for them.
Exactly,
because if you do not find alternative for
and
me, I wouldn't move out.
The buildings keep coming down on them for such tragic situations to happen. It's rather a sad one that we are losing lives as a result of these. But that's all we have for you by way of this morning's conversations on what's happening in your communities. We are taking a breather here. When we come back, there's a conversation with Amnesty International you don't want to miss. Do stay with us.
What's cooking? You are very welcome to the show where we stir up delicious meals.
So who's Lali and who's Lola?
Okay, should we confuse her?
Give me small water. A little more than you pour everything. So now if the thing doesn't cook well, it will be you.
We share inspiring stories.
I was planning to move to Ghana and I was looking for tea. Whenever I come to Ghana on holiday, I was always looking for different types of tea.
You were really in the UK before?
Yeah, I was in the UK.
And we savor every single moment at the dining table.
I said, what's cooking? Nobody minded me. But as there are judges here, in fact, all rise.
Why are you like this?
Because I'm going to judge here.
My name is Apioko Seyram Ashong Abe, and I am your host. Apioko is enough for me, and here on the show, I'm ready to take you through everything that you need to know in the kitchen of kitchens.
Wow. It's beautiful. It's really lovely. Really fragrant. It's almost like perfume.
Yeah. What is macaroni pie?
If you ask any Barbadian, they'll tell you that one of their favorite dishes is macaroni pie.
So it's time. Grab your apron, sharpen your knives, and get ready to get cooking with me right here on What's Cooking.
What's Cooking is brought to you by Tasty Tom, Kivo Pepper, and Susie Herbal Center.
When the stars come out, Ghana Weekend turns up the lights. From the hottest red carpet moments to the wildest after parties. And for all your celebrations, anniversaries, and unforgettable moments, if it's happening, we're there. First, fast, and fabulously. Your front row pass to Ghana's A-list lifestyle is just a click or a channel away. GhanaWeekend.com and Ghana Weekend TV, where fame meets the fans. Promote your next big event with us, because when you party with the stars, the whole nation of Black Stars should know. Visit GhanaWeekend.com, watch and subscribe to Ghana Weekend TV on YouTube. Stay connected with us across all platforms. Follow us on Instagram with the handle at GhanaWeekend.com, on X at Ghana Weekend, on TikTok, Ghana Weekend, and on Facebook at Ghana Weekend. Join the Ghana Weekend family today. Ghana Weekend, all access, all glam, all yours.
Yeah, welcome back from that break. You're still live on Breakfast Daily right here on Channel 1 TV. Now it's time to have a conversation that I'm sure you may be interested in, or you should be interested in now. Protests all over the country or all over the world is a right. But in today's world, what do we see? That very right that we think we're entitled to is under attack. This morning, we've been joined in the studio by the country director of Amnesty International Ghana. She's in the person of Genevieve Partington. She's going to give us insight about the Protect the Protest campaign, which has been launched by the Amnesty International Ghana. Genevieve, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you so much for making time to join us in the studio.
Thank you too.
And it's good to have you here.
Great.
Now, let's go straight into the conversation. First, talk to us about what the Protect the Protest campaign is about and why there was even a need for the Amnesty International Ghana to launch a campaign such as this.
Well, thank you so much for having me, first of all. So, Protect the Protest is a global campaign, actually, by Amnesty International. And we launched the campaign in Ghana last year, March. And it's basically about looking at the rights of protesters, ensuring the rights of protesters are respected. We also look at safety of protesters, but we also look at the other stakeholders involved in protests, like the police. Are the police working within the international framework of protests, for example? So these are some of the issues we look at. And you'll see this issue is so key now because of the protests happening across the globe. Since last year, there have been an increase in protests, not just in Africa, but across the world due to, economic crisis and, citizens being unhappy with current government reforms.
Beautiful. Now, what is the central message of the whole campaign? And since March, how has the rollout been like?
So far, so good. What we are doing is we are really engaging. We have advocacy, but we also have public education. So in terms of advocacy, we try our best to engage with the police, other security forces as well, just for them and us to understand their role during protests, ensure that those roles are being respected and not overstepped. Because in our Amnesty Human Rights reports, for example, there was an issue of excessive use of force by the police. You see last year, during the Stop Galamsey protest, 53 protesters were arrested and charged. And during that protest, there were a number of people injured. So, our rights being respected, our police acting within the national framework in ensuring citizens can come out and feel safe to protest, but also, not harm the citizens. So we've been doing that. We've also had a lot of engagement with the government. Last year, the former president actually showed verbally his commitment towards ensuring the right to protest for all citizens in Ghana. Verbal commitment is very different from action because we got a lot of verbal commitment from the government. However, things went south during the September protests, for example. So that happens sometimes. And we're doing more in terms of education. It's very important that people know they can exercise their right to protest, but also how to be safe during protests. Sometimes people don't wear the right gear when they are going for protests. How to, cover yourself from bullets, the blunt bullets that they shoot out. What to do when you are arrested. Because sometimes people do not understand that you shouldn't really speak when you are arrested. You need to ask for your lawyer, for example. So we do a lot of public education around that. And I think lastly, we're trying to look at the Public Order Act. Currently in Ghana, we used to have an act and they've reviewed it, but still it kind of gives a little too much power to the police, where we are to notify the police if you want to hold a protest. But the time limit, there's no time limit for the police to get back to you. So sometimes the police can get back to you in 24 hours. And maybe you've already organized, you've done everything. Remember, this is a notification, not permission. So a lot has to be done around that as well.
Now let's talk about human rights. How does this Protect the Protest campaign connect or align with Amnesty's broader global human rights works?
So it's basically the right to freedom of expression and civic space. And a lot of people don't understand that if you want to demand rights from government, protest is a very effective way to do that. And we'll witness the protests last year in Kenya, the Gen Z protests that happened in Kenya. They wanted the government to stop a finance bill that would increase taxes. The moment they took to the streets, although yes, there were some injuries and deaths, the president did not sign that bill into law. So it shows that there's a direct sort of impact when you come out to the streets and demand your rights. The human rights issues as well have to do with how we engage security forces versus the protesters on the ground, and even third parties. Right. You'll hear that in Kenya again this year, one of the sellers was killed through the shots, the bullets, live rounds were being fired in protest.
Not to cut you, but even in Togo, I think they started protesting last week.
Yes.
And we've seen videos on social media where security officers are spilling hot water on protesters.
Yes, and lashing them. They brought whips out, canes. And it's wrong. And Togo is also a very complex situation because the current ruling party has been in power since '67, and they've just been changing. It's the same family, the Nyasingbe family, and people are fed up. So they have a history of protest. They've been coming out. 2019, they came out again, and they won't stop till something is done, because there's a clear attack on democracy over there, and unfortunately I hear a number of people have died over there as well. So this is something that is ongoing. I know Ghana is definitely a different situation. This year I know there was a protest by the opposition party, and that apparently went smoothly. But my issue is we hope it will go just as smooth when it is regular citizens of this country.
But a question I want to ask, do you think that protests have been effective and they serve the purpose for which people go on the streets to protest a particular issue or problem?
Yes, absolutely. Like I stated the Kenya example, even Ghana, back in the day when we had our independence, to get to independence, we had to protest. There are just so many examples that you'll see in our documentary, which you'll be showing later on today, where we show the history of protest and how that has really helped shape certain the frameworks and even our constitution in this country. So protest is extremely effective. However, sometimes there's the need for civil disobedience. You go to countries where protests are not allowed. If you're in that situation, it's termed civil disobedience, because you will still take to the streets against the state. It happens all the time. You see the American civil rights movement, where people did sit-ins. They go to restaurants and sit. It's an act of civil disobedience. It's an act of protest. And even Ghana, we saw that last year with the pensioners. Yes, they went to do sit-ins as well. So, there are forms of civil disobedience, and it works. It really works.
But has Amnesty International looked at how authorities maybe come in to sort of block protesters?
Yes.
How they are going about the protest and all those things, and the kind of punishment or how the protesters are dealt with from the, say, the police officers or security officers. Has Amnesty International look at that one?
Yes, we have. So I'll give an example. So before the Stop Galamsey protest, we actually went to the formed police units. They are the ones that directly intervene in protests. And we had an engagement with them to understand the dynamics before the protest. It's very important to engage with the police. It's it's a love-hate relationship that has to exist. There's nothing really we can do about it. The police are our allies. Sometimes we're just not going to agree on things. So the meeting went well. Of course, we're not going to agree with everything they said. However, there are parts where there is excessive use of force of the police. Where on protest grounds where people can, intervene, beat protesters, and maybe the tear gas, sometimes the level of tear gas is too high, and that has injured people's eyes and stuff. And we also have to talk about the emotional trauma of protesters. When there's police brutality on the streets, when police attacks you, you could see that last year some media journalists. Your clothes were being torn. Imagine you're a woman, you hide your phone between your legs and somebody is trying to grab your phone. Meanwhile, you have the right to video during protests. You are allowed. You are absolutely allowed. And that's where the journalists come in. It's so important to film and to document what happens during protests so that there's that accountability during the protest, so that if anything goes wrong, we are able to even use this in court.
But interestingly, when protests are happening and you pull out your phone to want to record, then you see the security services coming after you.
Yes.
Why are you recording? Why are you filming? Stop recording.
Yes.
Some of them even go as far as trying to hit your phone or even hit you in the process.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, let's talk about young people, because most times when these protests happen, it is us. It is always the young people. It's only on rare occasions that you see the aged, when need be, coming to support. What roles do young people play in this very campaign?
Yeah, so I mean, it's important. We are the voice of the people. Majority of Ghanaians are youth. We are between the ages of 18 and 35.
Right.
We conducted a survey on the protesters last year, and most of them were below 45 years. So that means you are getting a mix of Gen Z and more millennials coming to the streets. So that means we play a very key role in influencing our democracy, influencing policies, and pushing governments to do certain things that we demand. So it's extremely important for us to have that right and responsibility, of course, because when we come out on the streets, we should be able to know that we are safe, right? And that the police are there to keep us safe. Yes, to protect us and not to attack us. That is why we need to work together. We are not each other's enemy, and sometimes protesters are seen as troublemakers. I think that is a narrative we have to really do something about. We have to change it, because when police hear, hey, you came out on protest, it's like
you're looking for trouble.
Yes, but meanwhile, it's your right as a citizen to exercise. And I wish more people will come to the streets when things are not going well, so that we rally around this. It's symbolic in nature as well.
Again, for you as Amnesty International Ghana, I understand that protesters mean a lot to you. But what are you doing to protect them, aside from this campaign that you've launched? What else are you doing to protect protesters?
For example, we had meetings with persons that have taken part in protests. It's very important the emotional trauma protests may carry, especially when you are attacked during a protest. So it's important to accompany these people through mental health screening. They need to see psychologists. It's very important. They have to have that kind of support, because sometimes you are traumatized after a protest and you don't even want to go out there again. Another form of support is actually we're trying to put together a report, a very brief report to submit to government on the human rights violations that happened during last year's protest. You will see there were issues of arrest. There were issues where some of the persons arrested were not part of the protest. They were third parties. Some were not were unwell, but were refused medical treatment. That is a fact, although the police may deny it. Some were also refused legal counsel, legal representation. And, once you deny legal representation even for hours and later provide it, it's still a denial of rights. So these are some of the issues we'll bring up. It's also about the conditions of the cells, the police cells, when you are held in custody. Some were over crowded. Some did not have good toilet facilities. I know it's an issue of resourcing, which sometimes the police do not have. So, of course, it's an appeal to governments to also do something about the police cells where you have the stations. I think the other issue that we had a very a challenge with was when protesters were being shifted from police station to police station. It was a tactic to disorganize and confuse the groups, the group of protesters. And on several occasions, we requested the police to provide the names of all persons they had arrested, including where they were stationed. This list was never provided.
Wow.
And we have the right to information. Under the Right to Information Act, the police actually have a duty to provide such a list to civil society. We requested for it. They were supposed to provide it. It wasn't provided. So these are some of the issues we need to clarify and to bring up so that it doesn't happen again. Because right now we need to be careful. What's happening in Kenya, what's happening in Togo, it can easily spill over. These things happen first through social media. You see that last year, the protests, it wasn't done majorly through physical meetings. They were done through social media. We mobilized ourselves through social media.
Especially with the Democracy Hub.
Exactly. A lot of communication was done via social media because having physical meetings were difficult. And it can happen again, and we should be prepared for it to happen again. But we want definitely a different story to tell than what is happening in Kenya and Togo. We don't want deaths. We don't want injuries. That is the key message over here. I really share a soft spot for what's happening in Kenya right now. Amnesty Kenya, for example, they are really on top of issues. They are also documenting. That's what Amnesty Ghana, if there's a protest, we have to document cases of abuse, cases of injury and death, for example, so that we are able to give recommendations to the government.
Now, I must commend you for what you're doing. One of Ghana's patriotic songs, there's a line in there that says, "We are all involved."
Yes.
So speaking of which, how can we as a people, the youth, support Amnesty International or Amnesty Ghana, Amnesty International Ghana, on this Protect the Protest campaign? Because as you rightly said, it will happen again. We will see it happening probably year in and year out. How do we get involved?
So how do we get involved? Let's make noise on social media. The hashtag is Protect the Protest. Let's tweet, let's do whatever we can, especially for our brothers and sisters in Kenya and Togo. Let's expose the stories. Currently in Kenya, they are even using rape as a form of pushing fear in protesters. We are just lucky we didn't get down to that in Ghana, but we are not far from it. Let's be honest. So we need to do more in terms of exposing the wrongs, but also exercising safety during protests. Let's mobilize ourselves. Let's try not to destroy property during protests, because that is it's a misdemeanor. So you shouldn't be destroying property, raiding places and things like that. But you can definitely exercise your right to protest. Let's find ways to resist. Definitely when a police picks you up or tries to use a baton, there are ways where you can resist and ensure your safety as an individual. Yes. And then most of all, when being arrested, we need to know what to do when being arrested. Always put it on social media. Request for a lawyer. Don't speak to the police. Just say you need a lawyer, period. Because anything you say can be held against you at the end of the day. So we need to look into those things. So as young people, we need to make more noise about protests, but we also need to document. Whenever you go to protest, bring out your phones. If you feel safe to bring out your phone and record, do so at a distance if you can, so that you do not get hurt or in harm's way. So these are some of the tactics we can use.
Alrighty, so you heard from Genevieve Pattington, a country director, Amnesty International Ghana. And the documentary airs today at 3 p.m. Please make sure that you are watching it. Make sure that you are watching it to know what really is in the documentary.
And of course, beyond watching the documentary, let's engage in the campaign on social media, as she says.
Exactly.
The hashtag is Protect the Protest campaign. We are all involved indeed.
Thank you so much, Genevieve.
Thank you too.
We are grateful for your time. But for now, let's bring you entertainment highlights.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Highlights on Breakfast Daily. My name is Ni Komite Kome, and this is powered by GhanaWeekend.com. Now let's get into our first highlight. Award-winning gospel singer Empress Gifty has made history as the first and only Ghanaian gospel musician to be invited to perform at the prestigious FIFA Festival in the United States. The acclaimed artist announced the news on her social media on 29th June 2025, describing it as a moment of pride and spiritual significance. Empress Gifty's participation marks a significant milestone for Ghanaian gospel music on the global stage, underlining her rising influence and reputation for electrifying performances. Now to our next highlight. 2-year-old Ghanaian artist Ace Liam has been named a 2025 Global Child Prodigy in Art at a ceremony at the UK Parliament. Already the Guinness World Record holder as the youngest male artist, he joins 100 exceptional young achievers from over 130 countries. His recognition spotlights Ghana and Africa's creative strength and inspires global audiences through the newly launched Global Child Prodigy Book 2025. We say kudos to Ace Liam. Now let's get some updates on the Agrada and Empress Gifty situation, because evangelist Patricia Esiedua, also known as Agrada or Evangelist Mama Pat, has issued a public apology to the lawyer of gospel musician Empress Gifty after mocking his sunglasses in a previous social media post. In her latest message, Agrada admitted to fault, writing, "I apologize for making fun of your sunglasses, but have you seen with the sunglasses you look good too?" End quote. The apology follows the lawyer's threat of legal action over remarks he considers disrespectful. The gesture appears to be an effort to de-escalate the situation, though the lawyer has yet to respond publicly. Now let's do some more stories. Nigerian music star Ira Star has shared insights into her debut acting experience as she transitions from the stage to the screen. The Maven Records singer has been cast in the upcoming Hollywood adaptation of Tomi Adeyemi's best-selling novel Children of Blood and Bone, where she stars alongside industry heavyweights including Viola Davis, Idris Elba, and Cynthia Erivo. In an interview with CBS Mornings, Ira Star described acting as a new challenge, highlighting the discipline and teamwork required on set. She admitted feeling shy in front of the camera without a microphone, but called the experience inspiring and praised the dedication of her fellow cast members.
She is also making her big screen debut in the upcoming Paramount movie, Children of Blood and Bone. Ira Star joins us now. Good morning.
Hello.
This is such a musical morning that we're having here.
It is. Full house.
Such a big fan of yours.
Now to our last but not the least highlight. A royal delegation from Eswatini has reportedly traveled to Nkandla in KwaZulu-Natal to negotiate the return of Nkosikati Nemsebo Zuma, the youngest wife of King Mswati III, citing dissatisfaction with the polygamous union. Sources indicate that the 22-year-old struggled with the monarch's long absences. In keeping with Eswatini tradition, the king's family is seeking reconciliation through talks with her relatives, a process known as Kwemuka. Now, Nomsebo's marriage to the king, initially private, became public during last year's Mlanga Reed dance, when she was introduced as his Leprovela, which translates girlfriend. And now let's check out Channel 1 TV's Top 10 Countdown.
This is the Channel 1 Countdown. Number 10.
I cloudy, I rap on I trippy, and from an I windy.
Number 8. Number 7.
One side, shoulder, shoulder, one side, shoulder, shoulder, one side, shoulder.
Number 6. Number 5.
Y'all niggas still stacking the loop. Me in your corner, me wine in me troop, and you know I gotta put my main man on the hook. Me, I want to dance, I want to move, mommy, jumping.
Number 4.
Let me teach you, woman, no. I try, yeah. Look at that face, look at that bomb, look at that waist, what that bomb.
Number 3.
Take it to the max. Take it to the max. Please just rewind and shake it to the max.
Caribbean girl, me know for tick, me know for top. Yeah, man, I watch my body like say them, I watch a match. Yeah, anything him say them, girl, I do it like it's tax.
Number 2.
I wanna never beginning to think I don't need another lover. Found you today, I don't wanna go back. I don't want to be with a Casanova. Yes, I, whatever, ever. Forgive if you do the least, I will find another. Why you want to leave when you know it's you?
Number 1.
Just another guy, obsessed to my morals, concerned to my liberty. Options overflow, I'm not gonna lie, there's a change in my energy. Praying I never go down, if I step on toes, my apologies. Everything could have been lovely, but I'm just another guy, just another guy.
This is the Channel 1 Countdown.
That's all for today's entertainment highlight on Breakfast Daily. For more latest stories, exclusive interviews, and all things showbiz, visit GhanaWeekend.com. Stay connected with us on social media. Follow Ghana Weekend on Facebook, X, Snapchat, and Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe to Ghana Weekend TV on YouTube. Thanks for staying tuned. My name is Ni Komete Kome.
Right, so that's all we have for you by way of entertainment highlight brought to us by our very own Ni Komete Kome. And all too soon, time has come for us to call it a day with you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us. But just before we go, I have a quick birthday message. This one says, happy 70th birthday, Madam Cecilia Esin Toso. Wishing you a year filled with good health, wealth, and love. May God bless your new age abundantly. Love from your family. So happy birthday to you, as well as all the celebrants of July, including Philip. Happy birthday in advance to you.
Thank you.
Anyway, guys, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. But thank you for spending your morning with us. My name is Jifa Kedi Akuto.
And I am Philip Nihlate. Many thanks for your time, and keep watching Channel 1 TV.